Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Crime this Saturday with adventures and episodes of Dragnet, Rocky Fortune, the final episode of Rocky Fortune starring Frank Sinatra, an episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense, also the Adventures of Nero Wolfe, and we'll end everything up with Lum and Abner. And we thank you for joining us on this Saturday. This is the 30th day of March. This is the 90th day of the year, 276 days left until we get to 2025. Florida Territory created in the U.S. on this date in 1822. Anesthesia used for the first time on this date in 1842, an operation by Dr. Crawford Long. Hyman Lipman patented a pencil with an attached eraser on this date in 1858. Alaska purchased for $7.2 million, about 2 cents an acre on this date in 1867, by Secretary of State William H. Seward. The news media called it Seward's Folly. Today, that $7.2 million would be, well, over $260 million. In 1910, Mississippi legislature founded the University of Southern Mississippi. It was on this date in 1951 The King and I premiered on Broadway.
Oh, good morning, Your Majesty.
You think you teach King lesson, but this is one lesson you do not be paid for teaching. In future, you will stop instructing wives and children in silly English song, Home Sweet House, in order to remind me of breaking promises I never make, etc., etc., etc.
The King and I, based on Anna and the King of Siam. Gertrude Lawrence, Yul Brynner starred. And Gertrude Lawrence, quite the star in her day, they were looking for a way to bring her back to her stardom toward the tail end of her career. Little did anybody know that this would be Gertrude Lawrence's last big thing. She had a triumphant performance that opened on Broadway March 1951, and a year later, she won the Tony Award for Best Actress, but her health deteriorated rapidly. She missed numerous performances, hospitalized with what would be her final illness, bedridden in New York Hospital on Friday, September 5th, 1952. She instructed Fanny Holzman to arrange for co-stars Yul Brynner's name to be added to the marquee of the St. James Theater, which at the time only included Gertrude Lawrence's name. Lawrence would pass away in hospital on September 6th, 1952. She was just 54 years of age. But The King and I premiered on Broadway on this date back in 1951, and it remains a classic to this day. Merv Griffin's game show Jeopardy made its debut on television on this date in 1964. A lot of people don't know that Merv Griffin was responsible for Jeopardy, and the first version hosted by the classic Art Fleming on NBC. In 1981, President Ronald Reagan shot in the chest outside a Washington, D.C. hotel.
Get him out! Get him out! Get him out! Get out back! He's in the car!
Shots rang out as President Reagan was leaving the hotel and about to enter his limousine. At least one person was hit and fell to the sidewalk with blood coming from his body. It was not the president. I don't know whether the president was hit. I do not believe he was. His car left rapidly under police escort. The shots were fired by someone in the crowd of people watching the president depart.
Reporter Sam Donaldson. Now, as the events were breaking, Secretary of State Alexander Haig, one of his wonderful missteps, but speaking to the media at the White House.
As of now, I am in control here in the White House, pending return of the Vice President, and in close touch with him. If something came up, I would check with him, of course.
Now, considering Vice President Bush was not immediately available, Haig's statement reflected political reality, if not necessarily legal reality. He was fourth in line, the Vice President, Speaker of the House, President pro tem, ahead of Haig in the line of responsibility. So it did reflect political reality, not legal reality. So somebody had to be in control at the moment until the vice president got into place, or until the Speaker of the House or the President pro tem of the Senate got into place. Now, in 1982, the Space Shuttle Columbia landed at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, and in 2017, SpaceX conducted the world's first reflight of an orbital-class rocket. Among those passing away on this date in history, radio commentator Gabriel Heater. Harold Perry passed away on this date, Gildersleeve dying of a heart attack. Actor Jimmy Cagney passing away on this date. Mr. Lucille Ball, Gary Morton passing away, as did journalist Alistair Cook, singer Timmy Euro, stand-up comedian the very funny Mitch Hedberg, also Bill Withers, and G. Gordon Liddy, all passing away on this date. Among people still still with us, people who are born on this date include Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh, musician bandleader Ted Heath, singer Frankie Lane, and Randy Van Warmer, all born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
And among those still with us on this date include the master of the Hollywood Squares, Peter Marshall, 98 years old today. Gomez from the Addams Family, John Aston, is 94. The man who sang about Timey Kangaroo Down Sport. Rolf Harris, 94. Actor-director Warren Beatty is 87. Eric Clapton, 79. From My Two Dads and Mad About You, Paul Reiser, 68. Rapper MC Hammer turned 62. Tracy Chapman, 60 years old. It was a delight to see her. The redoing of Fast Cars was amazing. It was nice to see her embrace it. From 90210, Ian Zierling is 60. Piers Morgan, 59. From Baywatch, Donna D'Erco is 56. Celine Dion, 56, and we wish her the best in her recovery. Singer-pianist Nora Jones, 45. Singer-songwriter Anna Nalick is 40. Country singer Thomas Rhett is 34. And turning 56 years old today, a very, very funny man, Tim Hawkins.
So a while back, I put out a Facebook post asking people for ideas of Christian cuss words. I got over 10,000 responses from you freaks. Now, none of these is for me. You can't put it on me. Over 10,000 from you bozos. It took me 2 weeks to go through them, and I whittled it down to about 100 or so Christian alternative cuss words that you could use. I haven't memorized it yet, but I'd like to recite it for you right now. So Christians, just take these and cuss up a storm. Listen up. Here we go. Shucks, rats, gadzooks, shizzle, toot. Crapola. Which I guess is Spanish for crap. I don't know. Crapola. You almost stepped in crapola. Or it's the worst crayon color ever. Hey, who's got the crapola over here? Trying to draw a tree trunk. I need to stop taking my crapola.
Tim Hawkins turning 56 years old today. And those are just a few of the people who celebrate the 30th day of March as their birthday. If this is your birthday.
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you.
And we'll pay salute today to the date 70 years ago today, March 30th, 1954. A little later, the final episode of the Frank Sinatra vehicle Rocky Fortune. And but first, we will hear Jack Webb and Dragnet, The Big Confession. I'm Wyatt Cox. I confess that the mouth isn't working right today. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-932-1431. 800-932-1431. That's 800-932-1431. Paid for by the Tax Helpline.
And you're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for finding us today and downloading us and doing whatever you do on your Apple device or your iPhone or your tablet or whatever. We're glad you're there. An episode of Dragnet, as it was originally broadcast on March 30th, 1954, 70 years ago today. Jack Webb in The Big Confession.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett and Myers. First major tobacco company to bring you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young man walks into your office and tells you he has a problem. From the way he talks, you know it's serious. Your job? Listen. Today, friends, you hear these three words everywhere. Chesterfield's for me. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. Best for you, because Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine. The taste you want, the mildness you want. Chesterfield is best for you because it's tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfield is best for you because it has an established good record with smokers, proven by test after test. Yes, friends, the Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. For the taste you want, the mildness you want. Join the thousands now changing to Chesterfield. Always say, Chesterfield's for me.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 8th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office from R&I, and it was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Pardon me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you a policeman?
Yes, sir, that's right. What can I do for you?
I want to talk to somebody. I'm not sure who, though.
Well, if you tell me what it's all about, I might be able to help you.
Well, I got to be sure it's the right person. You can understand that, can't you?
Yes, sir.
My name's Paul Marcus.
All right, Mr. Marcus, what is it you want to talk about?
Do you work in there in the homicide department?
That's right.
You know all about murders, then, huh?
You want to come into the office and talk?
No, I don't want to go in there. Is there someplace else we can go? I'd like to talk to you alone. This is kind of a personal thing.
All right, sir. Come on down the hall. Interrogation room.
Nobody else there?
No.
Well, that's good, because like I told you, this is a personal matter. I need your advice.
All right, sir, this way.
This is the first time I've ever been in the police department. I feel kind of funny just walking in and talking personal things to a stranger.
Yes, sir, I can understand. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Want to sit down right there?
Thank you.
All right, you want to tell me about it?
You mind closing the door?
All right. All right, now what's your problem, Mr. Marcus?
I told you it was personal.
Yes, I know.
I want to be sure I handle it right. I could get in a lot of trouble if I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Been trying to figure out what to do about it for a week now and couldn't find the right answer. That's why I came here. You guys should know.
All right, now, if you'll just tell me what's bothering you, we might be able to do something for you.
Uh-huh. A whole week and no answer. I sure hope you got it for me.
I'm sorry, Mr. Marcus, but if you don't tell me what this is all about, there's nothing we can do.
Well, it's nothing big, just a personal problem. I just want to know how to handle it.
All right, go ahead.
I killed a woman.
10:18 a.m. We got the name of the woman Paul Marcus said that he'd murdered. We also obtained a description of the victim, and Frank went down the hall to missing persons to see if a report had been filed on her. I waited with the suspect.
It's a personal problem. You know how to handle it, and I wasn't sure. That's why I came to you.
All right, where did you meet this Lorraine Farrell?
San Francisco.
How long ago?
A couple of weeks. I just knew her a little while before it happened, just a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Fisherman's Wharf.
What's that?
Fisherman's Wharf. That's where I met her in San Francisco. I was on a vacation. 2 weeks with pay, and I went to San Francisco. Fisherman's Wharf. That's where I met Lorraine.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I was down there sitting on the dock looking at the boats, just sitting there eating prawns. You know how they cook them in those great big pots?
Yeah.
Well, I was just sitting there eating prawns, and I met her.
Well, where'd you kill her?
Look, you got to let me tell this in my own way, or I'm not going to tell you at all. It's got to be right so you'll understand. Now, if you don't get it right, the whole thing's gone wrong. You see, it's a real personal thing.
All right, sir, go ahead.
Well, I was just sitting there eating prawns, eating them, and throwing the little tail pieces down in the water. You know how you do.
Mm-hmm.
Watching them kind of float around, and kind of all of a sudden, she was right there sitting just alongside of me.
You ever see her before?
I never laid eyes on her till then.
All right, go ahead.
Well, we both sat there for a minute, and then we started to talk. Just little things like nice weather and how long you've been in San Francisco, things like that. You know how you do.
How old would you say the Farrell woman was?
19, turned 19 the 5th of August.
All right.
She was born there, you know, in San Francisco. She told me about it when we were talking, how she was born there and grew up there.
Yeah.
Told me all about the school she went to, how she used to play on Strawberry Island and Stowe Lake. You ever been there?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of a beautiful place, you know. They got those rowboats, and you paddle around the lake, and right in the middle is this island, Strawberry Island. There's all those swans that swim around. You can feed them. Real beautiful, Strawberry Island.
Tell me something, Marcus. You ever been in the hospital?
Huh?
You ever had any mental care? Been under the supervision of a psychiatrist, maybe?
You think I'm crazy, don't you?
No, I just ask you a question.
Oh, I'm not. I've never been to a doctor. I'm telling you the truth. You'll see.
All right, you want to go ahead?
I guess you get a lot of crackpots in here telling you all kinds of phony stories, huh?
The doors are wide open all night.
I guess you get a lot of them. But I'm not a crackpot. I'm telling you the truth. I did kill her. But it's important you know why I did it. I got to tell you the right way. If I don't, none of it's going to be any good.
When'd you kill her?
September 1st. That's the day we left. September 1st.
That'd be a week ago today, huh?
Yeah, September 1st.
Joe?
Yeah.
See you in a minute.
All right, just a minute, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you got?
Well, I checked missing persons.
Yeah.
I got a report on the girl, same name, description matches.
When'd she disappear?
September 1st.
Well, that fits in with what he told us.
Yeah, but there's something that doesn't.
What's that?
She's 16 years old.
Each year, there are hundreds of citizens who walk into the nearest police station and confess to some sort of crime. Some have actually happened, others have occurred only in the mind of the person confessing. No matter how wild the confession, how implausible the details of the crime, each report has to be checked out. To doctors, such cases are clinical, but to the working detective, they're the cause of a lot of legwork and a great deal of checking. They cost the taxpayer untold man-hours in investigating time and many times result in nothing. Because of his attitude and his reluctance to give us the complete story all at once, it appeared that Paul Marcus might be one of these people. The fact that he named a girl who was missing meant little, since it was possible for him to have read the story in a newspaper. The only way we had of being sure was to continue the interrogation. 10:34 a.m.
She told me she wanted to get away from home. That's what she told me, how it was rough for her there, and she wanted to get away.
Mm-hmm. That's when you said you'd bring her down here, is that right?
Oh, no, I didn't even suggest it. The whole thing was her idea.
She brought it up?
Yes. You see, after that first day on Fisherman's Wharf, I saw her several times. Almost every day, we'd meet someplace and talk.
Where would you meet her?
Well, sometimes in one of the hotel bars. Once we met out at the Steinhardt Aquarium. We met on the rotunda there. You know where they have the big pool and all the alligators swimming around? You know where?
Uh-huh.
Well, we met there once, and we walked over to the place where they have the band concerts right across the way where the band plays, only they weren't there that day. Wasn't anybody there, just Lorraine and me. We sat on the benches and talked. That's when she said she wanted to go with me.
To Los Angeles, huh?
Yeah. That's where I was going. She wanted me to take her.
She came right out and asked you.
Sure. Told me how it was hard for her at home and she wanted to get away. She told me she had friends here. Said she could stay with them until she got things straightened out. You know, get a job and a place of her own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was going to do that, get a place of her own and a job, and then she'd be all right.
You ever meet her parents?
No, I never went to the house. She told me where it was, though, someplace out by the Twin Peaks Tunnel. I didn't know where exactly. She didn't want me to go out there. Said it would only cause her more trouble. That's why I'd meet her in town.
You ever meet any of her friends up in San Francisco?
Yeah, just once we were in a drugstore on Market Street having a sandwich. We were just sitting there, and she was telling me how it was bad for her at home, and a girl came in. Looked like she was a schoolgirl. You know how I mean, young?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she came in and talked to Lorraine, then they went over to the phone booths and talked.
You didn't actually meet the girl?
No. Lorraine said if I did, the girl might say something to Lorraine's parents, and that would cause trouble.
You know this girl's name?
I think it was Grace. I'm not sure, but I think it was Grace.
When'd you leave San Francisco?
Wednesday morning, September 1st. I wanted to get back in time to get some rest before I had to go to work. You know, my vacation was up, and I had to go back to work.
Where'd you pick up the girl?
Wasn't a pickup. I was sitting on Fisherman's Wharf eating prawns and looking at the boats, and we started to talk. Wasn't a pickup. We just got friendly.
No, Marcus, he means that where'd you pick up the girl when you left for Los Angeles?
Oh, I thought you meant when I met her the first time. That's what I thought.
Uh-huh.
I met her out at the tunnel.
Where's that?
Well, you know where Castro Street runs into Market, where the L car comes in from the beach? That's where I met her. She came from home, had her suitcase and all, and she came out on the L car.
All right, go ahead.
Well, she got off the streetcar, got into my car, and we left for Los Angeles.
Where'd you kill her?
I told you before, if I don't tell it my way, it isn't going to work. You're not going to understand. It's got to be my way.
All right, go ahead, Mark.
Well, it was a beautiful day, just the kind of a day you want when you're going on a drive. You know how I mean, clear and the sun shining.
Yeah.
Well, that's what kind of a day it was.
Uh-huh.
You could see all across the bay over to Berkeley and way up north was real clear.
You want to go ahead with your story?
Mr. Friday?
Mm-hmm.
My way?
Yes, all right, go ahead.
All right. We drove all day, stopped for lunch at a place near San Luis Obispo, a little lunch stand there. Had a French dip sandwich. It was one of the best I ever had. The meat was real lean, and they didn't sop up the bun with the gravy. Just the right amount. One of the best I ever ate.
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine liked them, too. She didn't like the bread all sopped up with gravy.
Well, go ahead. What happened after you had lunch?
Well, we left there and drove on. We got down to around Malibu. I guess it was really before that where the divided highway is, up the coast. You know where the cliffs are?
Yeah, we know.
Well, we stopped. She was such a beautiful night, I just wanted to sit there and look at the ocean. People don't take time anymore.
And what happened then?
We just sat there, had a cigarette, and talked. That's when I told her. First time I ever said it.
What was that?
It's funny, I guess most fellas say it a lot. You know how I mean, to a bunch of girls that never mean it.
Go ahead.
I told her. First time I said I loved her, and I told her that she didn't have to get a job, that I wanted to marry her and get her a house and all, and she wouldn't have no more trouble at home. How she'd have her own home and everything would be all right. I told her all that.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, right then. You could divide the second in a million parts, and in one of the parts I knew I had to do it.
Kill her?
Yeah. You see, she didn't tell me the real reason. She lied to me, and I knew I had to do it. So she wouldn't lie to anyone else. You can understand that. You can see why I had to do it.
Well, maybe you better tell us.
Well, it was all a lie, all about the family being mean to her. All that was a lie. She just wanted to get to Los Angeles because she wanted to meet some other fella here. That's why. She lied about the family, and that's why she did it. So, you see, I had to kill her. I had to.
How'd you kill her?
Huh?
I say, how did you kill her?
We got out of the car and walked over to the cliffs. We could see right down to the ocean. We just stood there. I just hit her. She fell down. It was quiet. So I pushed her over into the water.
Mm-hmm. What'd you do then, Marcus?
I got in the car and drove home.
You just left her there, huh?
Certainly. There wasn't anything I could do for her.
You point out the place where all this happened?
Oh, sure. It's up the coast where the highway's divided, north of Malibu. It's real easy to find.
Anybody else around?
You mean when I hit her?
That's right.
No, we were all alone. I didn't see anybody, just the two of us.
All right, Marcus, you willing to give us a statement on all this?
You mean what I just told you?
Yeah.
Well, sure. You want me to tell all about it again?
We'll call in a stenographer.
So you can write it down, huh?
That's the idea.
Well, sure, I'll tell her.
Tell me something, Marcus. When'd you get out of the hospital?
I told you before, I was never in one. You guys sure make it tough, don't you?
What's that?
I came in here because I wanted to tell you about Lorraine. I wanted you to know so you wouldn't think it was my fault, that's all. So you wouldn't think it was my fault, and now you don't believe me. You think I'm just another crackpot trying to sell a phony story. You guys sure make it tough.
We gotta be sure.
Well, I'm telling you the truth. I want you to believe me.
Yeah.
I want you to believe me.
Yeah, we're beginning to. A statement was taken from the suspect, and he was booked in at the main jail on a charge of suspicion of violation of Section 187 PC, murder. We sent a teletype to San Francisco, and we contacted Inspectors Ed Vandervoort and John O'Hare of Homicide Detail. We filled them in and asked that they check out the suspect's story on their end. We also asked that they send us all available information on the missing girl and that they check with her family and try to get a list of any known associates that she might have had in the Los Angeles area. Frank and I checked out of the office at 7:48 p.m. and we went home for the night. The following morning at 9:23 a.m., Inspector Vandervoort from San Francisco called back. Uh-huh. Yeah. When was that, Ed? Wait a minute. All right, yeah, I got it. How about friends down here? I say, how about friends down here? Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Well, it should be here this afternoon then. Right. Yeah, we'll check them out. No, that's on the way. We put it in the mail for you last... Well, you should have it by now then, huh? Okay, right. Right, Ed, thanks very much. We'll be checking with you. Right. Bye. How about it? Well, they checked the family and the friends, the place where Marcus said he stayed up there.
Yeah.
Marcus' story checks out all the way.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
One of the biggest comedy hits of the year. That's how the movie critics are describing Bob Hope's latest Paramount picture, Casanova's Big Night. Like so many other millions of smokers, Bob and Audrey Dalton, who appears with him in the picture, say Chesterfields for me. First, Audrey Dalton.
I changed to Chesterfield king size because I think it's better than any other king size cigarette.
Bob Hope says,
5 years. That's how long I've been smoking Chesterfields. And they have what it takes to satisfy me. What's more, I've seen how they make Chesterfields down in their Durham factory. And I wouldn't smoke any other cigarette. Try Chesterfields yourself. You'll find they're best for you, too.
Yes, either way, regular or king size, smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Join the thousands now changing to Chesterfield.
In the phone conversation, we learned that all of Lorraine Farrell's friends and relatives had been interviewed and their stories checked with the one given us by the suspect, Marcus. The girl and Paul Marcus had been seen together in the Bay City. The desk clerk at the hotel where the suspect had stayed verified the date that he'd checked out. It was the same day Lorraine Farrell disappeared. The officers in San Francisco were able to contact the girl the suspect had referred to as Grace. She recalled seeing a man answering Marcus' description with the missing Farrell girl. Frank and I spent the rest of the day checking on the suspect. We talked to the people he worked with. They described Marcus as being moody and withdrawn. We talked with his landlady. Her description of the suspect's attitude was the same that we'd gotten before. We thoroughly searched Marcus's apartment, and in a desk drawer we found a loose-leaf notebook with several pages of penciled notes describing the trip that he'd taken up to San Francisco. On one of the pages, at the back of the book, we found a lengthy letter to a Lorraine, in which Marcus apologized to the girl for killing her, but he went on to explain that he had no choice. We booked this evidence. The following morning, Friday, September 10th, Frank and I drove down to the beach and we talked to the people in the vicinity where the suspect said the murder had occurred. We found an elderly couple who lived in a trailer on the beach. They recalled having seen two people answering the description of the suspect and the missing girl on the night that the murder occurred. We drove back to the main jail and we signed out Marcus. We took him down to the car and we drove him out to the beach. We turned up the highway and told him to let us know when we came to the place where he killed the Farrell girl.
Sure you know where the place is, Marcus?
Yeah, I remember. It's just up the road a little bit. Just keep right on going. You'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it now. There's kind of a parking place and a couple of trees. Eucalyptus, I think. There's two of them on the side of the parking place. You can't miss them. It's right ahead there on the left. There, you see?
Yeah. We'll pull in, Frank.
Okay.
Just look at all those cars. Everybody's in such a hurry they never see anything, just like they had blinders on.
You sure this is the place?
I told you, didn't I? No reason to say a thing like that if it wasn't true. Just pull right in there. That's it, right over there. Well, right here is where I parked when it happened. Maybe over there a little bit more, but... Oh, right about here.
And the two of you just sat here for a few minutes, is that it?
Yeah. We just sat here and had a cigarette, and then we got out of the car and walked over to the edge of the cliff.
All right, come on. Show us.
Sure. Just so you'll believe me, I'll show you. Now, we stood right over there. Right there, and I told her I was in love with her and wanted to marry her.
Now, you stay here. Just point out where you were.
You think I might try to jump off, don't you? That's what you think, isn't it?
You just show us, huh?
I wouldn't do that. There's no reason to. I don't know why you wouldn't agree that I had to do it. I didn't have any other way to do it.
Where were you when you hit her?
Right there, near that clump of grass. We stood there and looked down at the ocean, and she told me about this other guy. That's when I hit her. She fell down right about there.
Uh-huh. And where'd you push her off the cliff?
There, right where I hit her. She was just lying there. I guess she hit her head on something, and she was real quiet. I just rolled her over the edge. It was right there. There, you see where the rocks are kind of worn?
Go and take a look.
Yeah.
No, you wait here.
Gee, if I'd have known it was going to be this hard to get it straightened out, I don't think I'd have started the thing. When am I going to get out of jail?
That isn't up to us.
Well, then I want to talk to the people who it's up to. I got to tell them about Lorraine, how she lied to me and why I had to kill her. As soon as they hear the story, they'll understand. They got to realize that there wasn't any other way.
How's it look?
Well, I found this caught in a branch just over the edge.
Yeah.
It's a girl's handkerchief. Read the name on it.
Lorraine. Friday, September 10th, 3:46 p.m. We contacted the crime lab and asked them to come out and go over the scene. Officers stood by so that any physical evidence would not be disturbed until Lieutenant Lee Jones and his men had an opportunity to go over it. Frank and I, along with the suspect, drove back to town where we made arrangements with the city lifeguard service to search for the body. The following morning, a boat equipped with diving gear left Santa Monica Harbor and took a course north. Experienced deep-sea divers searched the crevices in the rocks beneath the cliffs. All of the sea bordering the vicinity was gone over. There was no trace of a body. The shoreline on either side of the murder spot was checked. Still no trace of the missing girl. In the meantime, 2 additional teams of men were assigned to check out the friends of Lorraine Farrell. They carried pictures of Paul Marcus and attempted to dig out any information on the suspect and the missing girl. 6:42 p.m., Sunday. We called the main jail and asked that the suspect be brought to the city hall for additional questioning.
I had a reason to do what I did, a good reason. Now, you let me talk to the responsible people around here, and I'll have them tell you. I'm getting a little tired of being shoved around. You just bring in the boss and let me talk to him.
What day did you say that you left San Francisco?
September 1st.
I thought it was the 2nd.
The 1st.
You said you left in the afternoon, is that right?
In the morning, and you remember it. I don't know what all these questions are for. I told you I killed Lorraine. I walked in here and told you there's no reason for all this McGilla. Just no reason.
Where'd you hide the body?
I didn't hide it.
Well, and where is it?
I told you I put her in the ocean.
We haven't been able to find her.
Well, then you're not looking good. I told you the truth all along the line. I've told you the
sure
truth.
You didn't make a mistake about where all this happened?
Not a chance in the world. Right there by the parking place where the 2 trees are.
Well, maybe you just thought you left her there.
I know it.
Had you been drinking when you killed her?
No. We stopped and had a couple of beers on the way. Just a couple, not enough to get drunk.
But you did have something to drink.
Well, sure, but not enough to get drunk on.
How many beers you have?
2, maybe 3.
All right, which was it? 2 or 3?
Well, what difference does it make?
Were you drunk?
No.
How about the girl? Was she drunk?
No.
You sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure. What are you trying to do? What difference does it make? Maybe we did have more than a couple, but what difference does it make?
I'm just trying to get things straight.
We want to be sure we got the right story.
Well, you have.
Really? How about a cigarette, huh?
Yeah, thanks.
Frank?
Yeah, thanks. Here, I got a match.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't light his, too. That's bad.
What do you mean?
3 on a match. It's bad.
It is, huh?
Well, sure. You never do that. Here.
Thanks.
You got right home after you killed the Farrell girl, huh?
Yeah. I drove right down the highway and went home. Traffic was kind of heavy. I thought about it. All those people all hurrying around, not taking any time.
Anybody see you when you came home?
What do you mean?
Well, anybody see you park the car, go into your apartment?
Well, no, there wasn't anybody around.
Now, you said when you met the girl up in San Francisco that she had a suitcase with her, is that right?
Yeah, she did. Artificial leather with real leather binding.
And where is it now?
Huh?
What'd you do with her suitcase?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember it.
We couldn't find it in your room.
Well, you didn't have no right to go through my room. No right at all.
We didn't find a suitcase. Where is it?
Well, I don't know.
Did you put it with a body?
Well, I might have.
Where?
I don't know. I don't remember. I hit her. She lied to me, and I hit her. Then I pushed her into the ocean. That's all I know. And that's all I'm going to tell you.
Joe, see you a minute.
Yeah, sure. What do you got, Al?
We found the girl.
Where?
She's sitting in the squad room.
Frank stayed with the suspect in the interrogation room, and I went with Sergeant Al Olivas up to the office. Sitting at one of the tables was a small girl with jet black hair. As we came into the room, she was putting on lipstick. She glanced over at us, and then she went back to what she was doing. There wasn't any doubt about it. The girl in the squad room was Lorraine Farrell. She dyed her hair, and she had on a lot of makeup, but it was the missing girl.
Joe, this is Miss Farrell. Joe Friday.
How do you do?
Hi.
Where'd you find her, Al?
Friend out in Eagle Rock. Says she's been there for a week.
Thanks, Al.
Right.
You seen the papers lately, Miss Farrell?
Yeah, I read the funnies.
You ought to read the front page. You've been on them.
All right?
Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of policemen out looking for you.
They probably needed the exercise anyway.
There's a man down the hall who thinks that he killed you.
That creep, Paul?
Yeah, Paul Marcus, that's his name.
Real creep. I was glad to get away from him. Oh, gosh, he tried to give me about our home. What a baloney. He's a real creep. You ought to keep an eye on him. He's going to wig one of these days.
Is that so?
Yeah. He drove me down here, and when I told him I didn't want to have anything to do with him, he got real sore, started yelling. Creep.
Where'd all this happen, miss?
Out by Malibu. Rode out there. He stopped the car and gave me all the stuff about wanting to marry me. I was in love with me. Big deal. Said I was the first girl I ever said that to. Big deal.
What happened then?
I told him I didn't want no part of him. Told him to get lost. Thanked him for the ride and told him to get lost. He flipped. Bad, he flipped. I took off, got a ride, came into the town. I got this girlfriend in Eagle Rock. I've been out there. You ought to watch that guy, though.
Mm-hmm. How old did you tell him that you were?
I don't know. Forget. I think 19, something like that. I forget.
Mm-hmm.
He confessed to killing me, huh?
That's right.
Flipped. He's a wig.
Let's take a walk, huh?
Where?
Come on.
Sure. I got nothing to lose. Can you guys drive me back to Eagle Rock tonight? I got a date. I got to be back pretty quick.
You're not going to go back to Eagle Rock.
Who says so?
We're going to have to hold you.
For what? I haven't done anything.
Well, you're a minor. We've got a missing report filed on you. Your folks are pretty worried.
They're always worrying about something. If there ain't nothing for them to worry about, then they worry about that.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. We're going to have to hold you.
You just try it, cop. You just try it. You'll find out you got more trouble than you came in one lump.
Uh-huh. In here. This is Lorraine Farrell, Officer Smith.
Hello.
Lorraine.
Hi, creep.
I didn't mean to do it. You know that. I didn't really mean to do it, but there wasn't any other way.
What's plan? You know what he's talking about?
He thinks he killed you.
Wait.
I didn't think I'd ever see you again. I didn't think I would. But I want you to know one thing, Lorraine.
What's that?
I forgive you for lying.
I told you it hadn't.
Yeah, come on.
Where to?
We'll take you to the office and call a policewoman.
Then to the can, huh?
To juvenile hall. Come on, let's go.
I'll take her, Joe.
Right.
Bye, Paul.
Bye, Lorraine. I'm not mad at you anymore.
You know, I was worried.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
I want you to know how I appreciate it.
Yeah, what's that?
What you tried to do, I think was real fine, thanks.
I don't know what you mean.
You didn't fool me a bit.
What?
I know I killed her.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 4th, the hearing was held in Department 98, Superior Court, State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Earlier, George Fenneman told you exactly why the Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you. Now, the rest is up to you. Get a carton or two for yourself. Smoke them and you'll say, as we do, it's Chesterfield's for me.
Paul Nelson Marcus was held to answer a charge of violation of Section 701 WIC, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. After due deliberation, he was placed on probation and delivered into the hands of a competent psychiatrist. Lorraine Jean Farrell was returned to the custody of her parents. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Ellis. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Filter tip smokers, this is it. L&M Filters, the one filter tip cigarette with plenty of good taste. Much more flavor, much less nicotine, and effective filtration. Only L&M filters have the miracle filter tip containing alpha cellulose, the purest material for filtering cigarette smoke. Yes, this is it. As Bennett Cerf puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Buy L&M filters, the distinctive monogram cigarette. L&M filters, America's highest quality and best filter tip cigarette.
So the dead girl wasn't. Sad, or interesting at least. From 70 years ago, March 30th, 1954, Dragnet here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, the news from 70 years ago today.
Are you suffering with anxiety, depression, PTSD, an eating disorder, or even a substance abuse problem? If it's causing problems at work or with your family, get help now. At Insight Mental Health and Wellness, we help and treat all types of depression and mental issues. We will help you use your insurance to get away from it all, to a beautiful, sunny, and tranquil vacation-like environment, so you can recharge yourself. And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you could take the time off you need from work. Plus, with the Affordable Care Act, your treatment could be 100% covered. If you're suffering from any kind of anxiety, depression, PTSD, eating disorder, or even a substance abuse problem, use your insurance and get away from it all. Come to sunny California. Call Insight Mental Health and Wellness now.
800-281-8944. 800-281-8944. 800-281-8944. That's 800-281-8944.
And our look back at this date 70 years ago today, we just heard an episode of Dragnet. And up next, we'll have Rocky Fortune starring Frank Sinatra, both which aired on Tuesday, March 30th, 1954. In the newspapers of that Tuesday 70 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Secretary of State John Foster Dulles said last night the free world should take united action to prevent communist conquest of Indochina and all of Southeast Asia. His call for united action, it was learned, had been specifically cleared with the president in a weekend conference at the White House. Now, the House Rules Committee yesterday knocked the props from under the administration's public housing program. Democrats called the action a complete repudiation of President Eisenhower. The Rules Committee refused to sanction an Appropriations Committee recommendation that would have kept the public housing program in existence on a skeletal basis during the next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. A Senate House Conference Committee, risking a possible White House veto yesterday, approved a bill slashing federal excise taxes, chiefly stemming from World War II, by $999 million. The Conference settled on a compromise between Senate cuts totaling $1,019 million and House reductions adding up to $912 million. If approved by President Eisenhower, the lower taxes would become effective Thursday. Meeting behind closed doors, the Conference Committee accepted a Senate provision cutting the tax on refrigerators, stoves, and other household appliances from 10 to 8%. This was not in the separately passed House bill and would cost the government an estimated $85 million a year in lost revenue. The sorely beset International Longshoremen's Association went to trial yesterday charged with contempt of the federal government for its strike on the New York waterfront. The ILA, if convicted, faces a fine that could run into six figures and pull the financial rug out from under the union once again. The White House, the State Department, and Vice President Nixon yesterday scotched reports that President Eisenhower will send Nixon on a goodwill trip to Italy. High government circles indicated that Mrs. Claire Booth Luce, the U.S. ambassador to Italy, has informally suggested such a goodwill trip by the Vice President. A mile-long rope was used yesterday to keep 3,000 guests at a women's reception from violating the anti-polio zone set up around Queen Elizabeth II on her tour of Western Australia. Handshaking and all other personal contact with the Queen and her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, had been prohibited by authorities in an effort to minimize the risk to the royal couple of the polio epidemic. Those are a few of the day's top news stories from the newspapers of 70 years ago, Tuesday, March 30th, 1954. On your radio, Dragnet, and immediately following it on NBC was Rocky Fortune, the final episode from 70 years ago today, March 30th, 1954, the boarding house doublecross.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
And we wrap up our look of the radio from 70 years ago today. That was March 30th, 1954. With the final episode of Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune.
Frank Sinatra, transcribed as Rocky Fortune. Frank Sinatra, starring as that footloose and fancy-free young gentleman, Rocky Fortune.
Hi, did I ever tell you about the time I decided to give up my place on Bleakman Street and find a new room? Oh, not that the place was bad, but when I started using my mailbox as a numbers drop, I decided it was time to find a new pad, which I did. The only trouble was the landlady. She wanted to collect the first month's rent in blood. And when I objected, her superintendent tried to terminate my lease on life. Hello? Anybody home? Hey, where's the management?
Right behind you. Put up your hands.
Hey, what is this?
You tell me, bright boy.
I'm looking for a room.
What brought you here?
The sign in the window that says room for rent. Now, would you mind pointing that horse pistol the other way?
What's your name?
Julius LaRosa. What's yours?
You a wise guy?
Listen, Sammy, put down the artillery and let's get the...
Who is it, Lenny?
This joke was wandering around inside, Ma.
The door was open. The sign said room for rent, so I came in.
You want to rent a room.
That's the general idea, Ma.
Put away the gun, Lenny.
Ma, how do you know who this character is?
Put it away.
Thanks, Ma.
We've been having trouble with thieves lately. Lenny thought maybe you was one.
Well, I'm glad you protect your guests. Do you have a room?
We got one vacancy on this floor, third door down.
Can I see it?
This way. $5 a week. In advance.
This is a peachy view of the garbage bin.
Take it or leave it.
Well, I'd like to leave it, but I need a flop until I can locate an apartment. I'll take it.
5.
Wait till I get the vault open, will you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No heavy drinking in the rooms. Keep off the second floor. That's where me and Lenny live.
It's a deal. You keep off my floor, and I'll keep off yours.
I ain't joking, mister. You set foot on those stairs, and Lenny's liable to lose his temper. When Lenny loses his temper, he's liable to do anything. Anything. Well, welcome to 55 Bishop Street. My name's Thompson. You call me Ma.
That's touching.
If you go out at night, be careful. This is a tough neighborhood.
I come from a pretty tough neighborhood.
This ain't pretty tough. It's real tough.
Oops. I park my duffel and flop down on the mattress, which is a cross between a sack of cement and the Aberdeen Proving Grounds for light, medium, and heavy tanks. No sooner do I close my eyes than the door opens. In walks a little bald-headed guy about 40 wearing rimless glasses. A Casper milquetoast if I ever seen one, and I seen several.
What are you doing here?
What do I look like I'm doing? Playing Scrabble? Do you believe in knocking?
Get out of this room.
Oh, you got to get a little bigger before you talk like that to a full-grown man, Buster.
Where are my things? Where's Helen?
I ain't seen your things, and the only Helen I know is Helen of Troy, and she moved to Utica about 3 years ago.
Oh, very funny.
I didn't think it was that good.
It wasn't. Now, see here. I want you out of our room, and I demand to know where...
Something wrong, Mr. Fortune.
This billiard head keeps acting like somebody's in the wrong department.
Mrs. Thompson, what is this man doing in my room?
Who are you?
Who am I? Why, I'm Gerald Kinsey. My wife, Helen, and I we've had this room for a week now.
Mister, you're nuts. I ain't never seen you in my life.
Never seen me? I paid you a week's rent this morning. My wife, Helen, was...
I don't know anybody named Helen except Helen of Troy, and she...
He knows.
Come on, Horace. Get out of here.
Oh, are you all out of your minds? What is this?
You heard me, Homer. Vanish.
I demand my wife. I demand...
You demand a belt in the mouth if you don't beat it.
I will now. I'll...
Something wrong, Ma?
We got a stray bedbug. He thinks he lives here.
Lenny. You remember me. Gerald Kinsey. My wife, Helen, and I were...
What's he talking about, Ma?
Lenny.
Look, Zeke. You got the wrong house, maybe, huh?
Wrong house? Why, this is 55 Bishop Street, room 1. My wife and I were...
Lenny, show him the door.
Let's go.
I will not go. I demand my wife. I demand my wife.
1, 2, and away we go.
Take your hands off of me and I'll...
You're nothing. Now get out. And if you come back here, I'll kill you, understand? I'll break every bone in your body. Ow! Ow!
I watched Lenny give Gerald a bicep like he was a sack of old feathers, and then I start to unpack. Inside the dresser drawer, I spot a cufflink with the monogrammed initials GK on it. Also, there is some spilled face powder. I put the cufflink in my pocket and lie down on my bed to think things over. I'm just starting to doze off when I hear a sound at the window. So I make like I'm asleep, and I wait. A second later, Gerald slips into the room with a medium-sized paving stone in his mitt. He tiptoes over to the bed and gets ready to drop the concrete on my skull as I mousetrap him. Hold it. Drop it. Come on, drop it.
Ouch, my arm, you're breaking it.
Drop the Mickey. Now sit down.
Oh, please.
You better start talking, Sonny. I'm going to get rough, too.
Who are you?
My name's Rocky Fortune. I just rented this room. They forgot to tell me it was an outpatient clinic for Bellevue.
You're not with them?
With who? I'm not with anybody.
Oh, then you've got to help me.
Give me one convincing reason.
Listen, you've got to believe me, mister. For the past 3 days, my wife and I have lived in this room. This morning, I went out to look for a job. When I came back just now, they rented the room to you. They're just pretending they never saw me. They've done something to my wife. I know they have.
Why should they?
I don't know. They may be in some shady business or something. Maybe she found out about it. But, please, you must believe me.
Hold it. Your initials are GK, aren't they?
Why, yes. Gerald Kinsey.
You ever see this cufflink?
What? Why, that's the one I lost. Helen and I looked all over for it.
It was under the shelving paper and some newspaper in the dresser.
But that should prove I lived here.
It's enough to go on, Gerald.
You see, the whole thing is a plot to...
Shh.
Huh?
Fortune?
Just a minute. Look, you better use the emergency exit. Out the window. If Nature Boy finds you in here, he'll take you apart like a jigsaw puzzle.
What'll I do?
I got a friend who's a cop. 21st Precinct, Sergeant Finger.
Huh?
Tell him I sent you and bring him back here, quick.
Open up!
Now beat it. Remember, Finger, Sergeant Hamilton J. Finger.
I thought I heard somebody talking in there.
Talking? Oh, that was me. I always talk to myself.
Oh, that's a bad habit.
I never listen to it.
Huh. That's a good one. It'll keep you out of trouble.
What kind of trouble did you have in mind?
The kind where they bury you. Remember it.
Lenny goes upstairs, and I settle down to wait for Gerald and the gendarmes. After a couple of minutes, I hear the steps creak. I crack the door in time to see Grandma carrying a brown paper bag to the back of the hall. She takes maybe 2 steps and stops.
You're liable to get your nose caught in the crack of that door, Mr. Fortune.
I could spare a little.
We like the border to keep the door closed.
Gee, you and Lenny are a couple of real trusting souls, ain't you?
I told you we've been having sneak thieves.
Can I help you with that paper bag?
Just going out back to put the garbage out. I can manage.
Just trying to be friendly.
Try it with the door closed.
Sure, Ma. I hear Ma go out the back door with a bag of garbage. After about 20 minutes, I hear her close the door and go up the steps again. I figure either she went all the way to the city disposal plant with that stuff, or it wasn't a bag of garbage. After things quiet down, I tiptoe down the hall and open the back door. There's a small yard with a high concrete wall. It's filled with broken bottles, old almanacs, and other valuable stuff. At one end is a small wooden shed big enough for a half a dozen garbage cans with a cheap padlock on the outside. Just on a hunch, I go over to the shed and knock. Anybody home? Now, why would anybody want to put a padlock on the garbage? Anybody here beside you chickens? Okay, we'll just do a little lock picking and have a look. Well, don't tell me the housing authority has this place listed as an apartment. You're Helen, right?
Who are you?
My name's Rocky Fortune. How does that guy rate a knockout like you?
Are you working for Gerald?
More or less. He and I seem to share a room.
Listen, you've got to help me.
Maybe we better close the door, just in case Lenny decides to check on his guests. Why have they got you locked up here?
I don't know. Ma and the big one, Lenny, they must have drugged me or something. You got to tell that to Gerald. They locked me out here. They told me they'd kill me if I made a sound. No kidding, mister.
What are you so scared of me for?
You tell Gerald. I wouldn't want him to think I left him on my own or anything. You know how he gets.
You have been drugged. Now, take it easy, kid. We'll have you out of here in no time, as soon as I figure out a way.
You believe me, don't you? I didn't run away from Gerald. Honest, I didn't.
Did you want to?
We had a big fight this morning. But I didn't mean what I said. It's those people, Ma and Lenny. They put me out here.
All right, come on, let's get out of here. The fragrance from these garbage cans is a little bit too... Uh-oh.
What is it?
That was the back door to the house. Here comes Lenny and Grandma.
You'd better hide.
Where, in my pocket?
The garbage can.
Smart girl. Okay, put the lid on. Hey, turn on the air conditioning, will you? I'm feeling a little bit like a rotten pimento and an undersized olive when it dawns on me that Lenny's going to notice that the lock has been opened. He does.
Were you out here, Ma?
I just brought her some food.
The lock is open.
I locked it.
It didn't open itself. You gotta be careful.
I told you I locked it.
We better go in.
Food okay, dearie?
Yes.
You better finish it. We're getting you out of here in about 15 minutes.
Out?
Your husband was snooping around. Things might get a little too hot.
Where will you take me?
Oh, I know a nice quiet spot where nobody will look in a million years. I gotta borrow a car. As soon as I get it, we move out. Come on, Ma.
You better take the full garbage cans out front for the collection, Lenny.
What's today?
Tuesday. We got a load of stuff.
Okay.
I'll stay here and watch Mrs. Kinsey.
Here's the gun. I'll just roll this one out first. What you got in here, old lead?
For a couple of minutes, I die while Big Lenny rolls me out to the front of the house to be picked up by a gent from the sanitation department. As I feel myself lifted into the truck, I decide I'll keep quiet till Lenny gets back to the house. It's then that I hear the machine that grinds the stuff.
Okay, Charlie, toss up that next can. What's the matter, Charlie? You forget to eat your crispy crunchies? Come on, let's have it. Hey, I see what you mean. Now, let's get the cover off this one and take a look. Hey!
Pardon me, Sam. Is this the subway to Jackson Heights?
What are you doing in that can?
Can? Holy mackerel, I thought I was in a subway car. Give me a hand, will you, Sam?
Yeah, sure. Are you nuts, Buster?
I guess I am, Sam. Would anybody in his right mind get into a garbage can by mistake? I'll see you around. I shake a few breadcrumbs out of my hair and climb off the truck. I sneak back into the house and make for my room. I get there and hear voices inside.
I told you to stay away from here.
I want my wife, Lenny, and I'll kill you if you don't tell me where she's hiding.
Go ahead. Pull the trigger. You haven't got the guts to kill anybody.
It won't be the first time.
It may be the last.
Let go of my throat. Rocky, hit him.
A pleasure, pal.
Is he out?
Like a busted street lamp.
I guess you saved my life.
How come you didn't get the cops?
I got a gun instead. I was determined I'd handle it myself.
Somehow you just don't seem the type. Anyway, I located your ever-loving wife.
Helen? Where?
They got her stashed in a wooden garbage shed in the back.
Oh, I'll get her.
You stay here and keep the gun on Loverboy in case he recovers from that belt I gave him.
Oh.
I'll get Helen.
Okay. Maybe that's best.
And keep an eye out for Ma. I don't think she's going to like us. I leave Gerald and Lenny in my room and slip my way out to the shed. I do another hairpin job in the lock and open it up. Helen's sitting on a stack of old newspapers waiting. Helen?
Rocky, you all right?
Yeah, except for a slight tinge of city dump number 5. You ready to get out of the shoebox?
Yes, but what about Lenny?
Lenny's in on his face in my room, and your husband's holding a heater on him.
Gerald? Is here?
Uh-huh.
I see. Puts a slightly different color on things.
You don't look very happy.
I'm not.
What's wrong?
It's none of your business.
Now, look, baby, I almost got myself bumped off getting you out of this trap. Now, level with me.
I'll level, Rocky. But at you, not with you. Get 'em up.
What is this? Kill Fortune Day in Brooklyn? Where did you get the artillery?
I had it.
I don't get it.
You will. Turn around.
So, you ain't exactly the damsel in distress I figured you for.
Look, button brain. For reasons of my own, I'm not interested in meeting my dear husband right now. I told Ma and Lenny that he was an escaped convict, holding me prisoner. I talked them into hiding me out here and pretending they'd never seen me.
How did you manage that?
Little money can make people do very noble things. No more talk now. This won't hurt a bit. I'll just...
Hold it, Helen. Drop the gun. You keep away from it, Fortune. Okay. Ma, into the shed.
You can't do this. Lenny needs a doctor.
I'm doing it. And he'll come to in an hour or so. I just kicked him once or twice.
Oh, you're a nice kid.
We're even, Fortune. You saved me. I saved you.
Shall we dance?
The only ones who are going to dance are me and my sweet little double-crossing wife.
Gerald, I swear I didn't double-cross you. The old woman and her son, they found out about the jewels. They locked me out here and tried to make me give them up.
That's a lie. You told us your husband took dope and beat you. You asked us to help you get away from him.
That sounds more like my little girl.
She's lying, Gerald. They kidnapped me.
Sure. Where's the stuff?
I hid it.
I'll bet you did. Well, find it.
It's in the ash can. Here.
Is this all the stuff from the Rensselaer job?
It's all there, Gerald.
It better be. Because you and I are going for a little journey. And you know how it upsets me when somebody tries to pull a fast one on me.
It's all there.
Okay, Fortune. You and Ma here are lucky. I'm going to give you a chance to stay alive for a while longer. Because you've been so good. Come on, baby. We're going.
You ain't going any place, mister.
Well, look who woke up. Step aside, big boy.
Not till I finished that little job on you that I started a while back.
Lenny, don't do it. She isn't worth it. It was a trick. They're both thieves.
I ain't interested in what they are and what they ain't. I'm gonna take your pot, Baldy, and then I'm gonna work on your pal here.
I warn you, Lenny. I'll shoot you.
You don't scare me.
Lenny, don't. Please, mister, he's still groggy. He don't know what he's doing.
Tell him to step aside.
Lenny, don't do it.
Gonna give you something to remember.
Lenny! Oh, no!
Keep away from him, Ma.
Now you're a murderer, too, or isn't that news?
Shut up. Helen, take Ma into the house and lock her in a cellar.
What are you going to do?
Never mind that. Get going. Somebody might have heard those shots.
Come on, Ma. Jerry, there's a cop standing out at the end of the alley.
Is he coming?
No, he's just looking around.
He heard the shots. Hurry up. Get going.
Let's go.
And don't try anything. I got 50 grand worth of stuff here.
I won't.
Okay, Fortune. Help me get this stiff into one of those empty cans.
Suppose I don't.
I'll kill you.
I'll help.
Ready? Now. Now put the cover on.
Hello?
Shut up.
Anybody in that shed?
Climb into that other can.
Now listen.
I said climb in. One peep, and I'll let you have it.
Anything you say.
Now, get down. I'm going to put the cover on.
Now listen.
Do what I say.
Okay.
Anybody in here?
Oh, hello, officer.
Oh? I thought I heard somebody in here.
Oh, I live here. I just came out to take the garbage cans out front.
Oh? You didn't happen to hear a sound like a couple of shots a minute ago, did you?
Shots? I was rattling these garbage cans so that I couldn't even hear you come down the alley.
Funny. I thought sure they came from behind the house. See, you're a small man to be handling those heavy cans. Here, let me help you roll them out in front.
Oh, that's all right, officer. I can manage them.
Nonsense. I hate to see a man hurt himself. I was out of work for 3 months myself once, lifting a car off a dead body.
What, you don't say.
Here, I'll wrestle this one for you. Oh, Ma Thompson must do some heavy baking. Well, here goes.
So there I am again, headed for the city dump. I'm afraid to open my app because I don't know whether Gerald has his cannon pointed at me or not, so I figure I'll let him roll me out to the sidewalk before I make my move. By the time I reach the street, I'm so dizzy I feel like I've been somebody's mixer with the dial-setted heavy whip.
Oh, thanks, officer. You can just leave them right here. Oh, looks like we missed the morning pickup anyway.
Yeah, there's an empty one here. Well, I'll just be moving along.
Oh, thanks a lot. You're a real lifesaver.
I hate to see a man strain himself. Well, you're in luck. Here comes the garbage truck back from his run. I'll just stop him.
Oh, no. There's no need for that.
Since he's an old pal of mine. Hey, Hennessy! Hey!
What's the... Well, if it ain't New York's finest officer, Clarence Kilcannon.
Hey, Hank, do us a favor, will you? Ma Thompson missed the morning pickup, and she's got a couple of cans loaded to the brim. Would you dump them out?
Thompson, huh? Say, I was emptying one of her cans this morning, and a live character steps out and asks me if this is the subway.
Sure, and you're pulling my leg.
May I never take another breath if it ain't true.
Another drop would be more fitting. Here now.
Hey, Charlie, give the officer a hand with those. I wouldn't want him to strain himself.
Up we go.
And off with the lid. Oh, no.
Top of the can to you.
What the... Hey, mister. Hey, come back.
Officer, grab him. There's a corpse in that other can.
Hey, come back. Come back or I'll shoot.
My arm.
Stand still. It's just a scratch. Now, what's this about?
He shot Mrs. Thompson's son. The body's in the other can.
Officer, it's a lie.
Yeah, well, we'll just go back and have a look. Hey, wait a minute.
What is it?
I know you from someplace.
The lineup, maybe?
Lineup? By Godfrey, there's an APB out for this character. Gerald Kent, alias Kinsey, alias Kinoy. He's wanted for the Rensselaer jewels theft with a woman named Norma Lynn.
That's the boy. His wife's inside the house.
Well, we'll just go in and see about that.
Hey, Kilcannon, what do you want me to do about the garbage?
Stick around, Hennessy. We'll be out in a minute with 2 cans full. And you can dump them off at the city jail.
NBC has presented Frank Sinatra as that footloose and fancy-free young gentleman, Rocky Fortune. Others in tonight's cast include Frank Richards, Gloria Ann Simpson, Jim Eagles, Virginia Gregg, Eddie Fields, and Maurice Hart. Tonight's script was written by George Lefferts. Andrew C. Love directed. Here is a question. What is the top speed you can safely drive after dark if you have to rely on your own headlights to show up danger? The answer, according to the National Safety Council, is 45 miles per hour. If you exceed 45, you're driving beyond the visibility limit of your headlights. Keep plenty of distance between yourself and the car ahead. The secret of safe driving is simply to use common sense. Take your time, not your life. Tonight, enjoy Fibber McGee and Molly on the NBC Radio Network.
No mention that it was the last episode of the series and the last show of the series, but that happened a lot in the 50s. From 70 years ago, March 30th, 1954, Rocky Fortune here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Comedy on our Sunday with episodes of The Jimmy Durante Show, George and Gracie, The Great Gildersleeve starring Willard Waterman, Abbott and Costello, Sam Shovel, and Diogenes Smith as in Lum and Abner. That's all coming up on our Sunday show. Up next, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, an underwhelming episode of Suspense.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-932-1431. 800-932-1431. That's 800-932-1431. Paid for by the Tax Helpline.
Alrighty, on radio's outstanding theater of thrills, next, Suspense, going back 80 years to March 30th, 1944. This has been called one of the worst episodes of Suspense. Be your own judge. This episode stars Sonny Tufts, and the episode is entitled Cat and Mouse.
Roma Wines presents Suspense. Roma Wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
Salud. Your health, senor.
Roma Wines toast the world. The wine for your table is Roma Wine, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is the Man in Black, here for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California, to introduce this weekly half hour of Suspense. Tonight from Hollywood, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Sonny Tufts in a suspense play that tells of a murder in Boston and of perilous adventure in Vermont's snow-covered hills. And so with Cat and Mouse, and with the performance of Sonny Tufts as John Guthrie, an engineer, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
W1QXL, W1QXL, W1QXL. This is W1RBX calling W1QXL, W1QXL. This is WIR, Montcar, Vermont, calling and standing by.
W1RBX, W1RBX. This is W1QXL in Boston, returning. Hiya, Guthrie, how you been? Signal's clear, good signal. Come in.
W1QXL, W1QXL, W1RBX back. Hello, Lockwood. I'm fine. Signal's good up here. I got lots to tell you. Been trying to get in touch with you for the last couple of hours. Where you been? Out to dinner with Valentine? Go ahead.
Sorry, Guthrie, I haven't seen Val today. She hasn't answered her phone. Guess she's awful tired of picking it up and hearing me on the other end proposing. Anyhow, I've been working hard. Oh, I had a little excitement here at the laboratory an hour or so ago. Thought we had a prowler on the grounds. But guess it was a false alarm. Nerves, I guess. What's your news, Guthrie? I've got a bit for you myself, but let's hear yours first. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, kiddo, you can set up a date for demonstration for the Army Signal Corps and the Naval Ordnance people just as soon as you like. We're in the clear now for keeps. I got the last bug out of the screen this morning, and it ought to make the prettiest little image you ever saw. And if the brass hats put the steam on, I don't see why it shouldn't be in there fighting in a couple of months. Now, let's hear about you. Go ahead.
Boy, that sounds great. Hold it, Guthrie. Something going on here. Keep listening. I'll be back in a second. Who is it? Who's out there? Who's there? Get out from there or I'll shoot. Come out. Stop. Stop.
What is it, Lockwood? Howard, what's the shooting? Is that you coughing? Lockwood, is that you? Go ahead.
Hello. Hello, Guthrie. I saw him that time. Almost got him with my rifle. Wonder what that guy can want. Well, I know one thing he's got, and that's a sore throat. Boy, did you hear that cough? Go ahead.
I'm worried, Lockwood. Somebody must be getting wise to what we've got. We better arrange for more protection around the lab. Well, you've heard my say of it. How are you getting on with the blueprints? Go ahead. Did you hear me, Howard? Go ahead. W1QXL, W1QXL. What's happened? Come back in. Go ahead.
Hello. This is W1QXL. I'm going away. I'm going skiing. I'm going skiing up in Sunbury, Vermont at the Phoenix Hotel. The Phoenix. Have you got that, Frank?
Frank. What's all this about you going skiing? You've never been on skis in your life. Besides, I'm coming up to see you, and it's important. We'll get together now in the blueprints, okay?
At the Phoenix Hotel. Go ahead, Frank.
What's this gag calling me Frank? What's going on? I hear voices behind you. Sounds like interference. You all right? I say, are you all right? I'm leaving here for Boston in the morning. I'll bring the whole works.
No, don't. And don't contact Val. If anything happens to me, the man with the cough. The man with the cough. The cough.
Lockwood, what's up? You still there? Come in, Lockwood. Lockwood, come in. Lockwood, go ahead. W1QXL, W1QXL. This is W1RBX calling. Go ahead. W1QXL, W1QXL. This is W1RBX. Go ahead.
Tonight for Suspense, Roma Wines bring you as star Mr. Sonny Tufts, whom you have heard in the prologue to Cat and Mouse by Hugh Pentecost. Tonight's adventure in Suspense.
While the play's scene changes, let me describe another scene that might even now be taking place in the handsome cafe of the Hotel Nacional de Cuba in Havana. An American visitor has remarked to his Cuban host what great enjoyment the Cuban music and the dancing gives him. Gracefully, the Cuban host returns the compliment, saying, "But your United States makes us a gift that gives great pleasure on many occasions. Your superb wine from the choice wine districts of your California, your Roma wine." Yes, for a wine to give great enjoyment, it must have greatness of character, and it's this that has spread the fame of Roma wines to other lands. Why, otherwise, would these countries import Roma wines to be enjoyed as a rare luxury? How fortunate, then, are you who can enjoy any of the Roma wine's many different delicious wine types whenever you choose without additional charge for import duty, with no high shipping costs added to your small cost for Roma wines. Yet here is a quality so high it has won international recognition. Quality coupled with cost so modest that Roma wines are America's largest selling wines. Why not make your own taste test of these good Roma wines and discover for yourself the fine wine qualities acclaimed by wine experts of many lands? I'll spell out the name for you. R-O-M-A. Roma Wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
And now it is with pleasure that we bring back to our soundstage our star, Sonny Tufts, as engineer John Guthrie in Cat and Mouse, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Well, that's about all the facts we know, Miss Ames.
Yes?
The bruises on Mr. Lockwood's head were a little hard to explain, as you pointed out. It was the explosion that killed him. That seems to be fairly...
Dr. Vaughn, yes, the explosion may have been what actually was the final cause of his death. I take a doctor's word like you for that. But those marks and bruises... Suppose he'd been beaten, hit over the head in order to make him...
In order to make him what?
But I can't say any more, Dr. Vaughn. I don't know quite what I'm talking about anyhow, I guess. You see, Howard had been experimenting with something. He had a collaborator.
Collaborator?
Yes, I don't know who. Howard would never... Well, he used to talk to this other man on shortwave. They both had shortwave sets. Radio hams, you call them. Those amateur radio operators.
Yes. Well, I must go.
Oh, let me help you with your coat, Dr. Vaughn.
Oh, thank you. I must say that after talking to you, I'm partly convinced, Miss Ames, but murder's a pretty difficult thing to prove, especially in this case, and...
Oh, excuse me.
I'll be going, then.
Hello? Yes? Who? Mr. Guthrie. Well... Oh, I see. Well, if you was a friend, Where, in the drugstore? Yes, I'll wait. Just come right up to apartment 15E. Yes. Goodbye. Thank you again for your trouble, Dr. Vaughn.
Well, please feel that you can call...
Oh, I'll get you some water.
No, don't bother. Too many cigars. Bad larynx. I'm awfully sorry. I'll say goodbye.
Sure you're all right?
No, it's perfect. Don't worry. I'll keep in touch with you, Miss Ames.
Yes. Well, goodbye now. Oh, just a minute.
Hello, you must be Valentine Ames.
Yes, I am.
I'd recognize you anywhere.
Well, are you Mr. Guthrie? Just throw your things in that chair there.
You're just as I pictured you. Lockwood spoke of you so often.
Howard spoke of me? Do
Well,
you?
You were engaged to be married, weren't you?
No, I was fond of him, but never that way.
He told me, that is, he said...
Then you were his collaborator. Oh, please, Mr. Guthrie, you can trust me. I need help. They all say his death was an accident. The coroner, the newspapers, the police. But I know it wasn't.
How do they say it happened?
An explosion in his laboratory. Chemicals he was using in his experiments.
Nonsense. Explosion. There wasn't anything more explosive in Lockwood's lab than a package of matches.
Then you were his collaborator. Oh, please trust me.
Lockwood was murdered. I know it.
You think so, too, then?
Yes.
Well, then our job is to prove he was murdered.
No, I'm sorry, Val. There's something more important that comes first. When they killed Lockwood, they stole half of our... Well...
Your invention? But half an invention is worthless.
But I have the other half.
In other words...
Yeah. I'm next. We can count on that.
But they don't know who you are.
Maybe not yet. That was why Lockwood kept calling me Frank when he was talking to me near the end. He didn't want to give my name away to them.
And you've no idea who they are? Just something we could start on?
It was just one thing. That night, the night he was killed, we were talking the shortwave, and he'd been bothered by a prowler. He spoke of it. Why, I even heard the fellow in the air. He was...
Oh, that phone. Excuse me a second. Hello? Yes? Oh, Dr. Borbert. Yes, it's nice of you to call me back, and thank you so much for sending Dr. Vaughn to see me. He certainly is... Dr. Vaughn? But you sent him to see me about Dr. Lockwood. About Dr. Edwin Vaughn? You're positive? I see. Well, thank you anyway. Bye.
What's up?
Well, someone just before you came, and Dr. Edwin Vaughn, said he was with the coroner's office. Called on me.
And the coroner's office never heard of him. Is that it?
Never.
Uh-huh. Well, who was he? I mean, what did he look like? Would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Well, he was just a middle-aged fellow. Poor man had a terribly bad cough, one of the really hacking coughs.
A cough?
Yes.
It's the same one. He came to Howard's lab the night of the killing. I heard him.
You're sure?
Positive. You see, it fits. He was looking for me. Figured I'd come here to see you. He wants my half an invention. Well, Val, they need what I've got, and I've got to get back what they've stolen, so...
Where are you going?
Skiing.
What?
I'm going back to Vermont to go skiing. I'll send you a card from the Phoenix Hotel.
Next up is Sunbury, Vermont. Sunbury.
Bring me an orangeade, Porter. Well, hello. You're new up here.
Beg your pardon?
You're going to the Phoenix Hotel, of course. It gets so you know a skiing fan when you see one. I know most all the Phoenix crowd. This must be your first trip to the Phoenix, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Name's O'Brien.
John Guthrie.
Oh, excuse me. Do they serve drinks in this lounge car?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you're new, too.
Well, yes, I've only been in the States a few weeks.
Oh, no. I mean new to our weekend skiing contingent.
Skiing contingent?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm O'Brien. This is Mr. Guthrie. What'd you say your name was?
Well, I'm...
Thanks, Porter, thanks. And bring me a couple more cigars, will you?
Here, take one of mine while you're waiting, Mr. O'Brien.
Oh, thank you. Now, that's what I like about the Phoenix crowd. They're sociable. Everybody pals with everybody else.
Sounds very pleasant.
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, well, anyway, you wait. By Monday, everyone in the place will be calling you by your first name.
Oh, really? Well, I guess I'd better be getting back to my compartment. Very happy to have met you, gentlemen. See you later.
Weird duck. Unsociable like. Now, I always say, you take a fellow that won't mix.
Be quiet a minute.
What's the matter with you, Mr. Guthrie? You look like you'd seen a ghost.
Good evening, Mr. Guthrie. I trust you're feeling refreshed now, sir.
Yeah, 3 hours sleep and a long walk was just what I needed. Any messages for me?
No, sir. Good evening, Mr. O'Brien.
Hello there, hello. Ah, there you are. I've been looking for you everywhere. Want to introduce you around to some of the folks here.
Well, thanks, Mr. O'Brien. I would kind of like to get acquainted.
Why, sure. Be sociable. You see the old lady in the wheelchair? That's Mrs. Garvey.
Mrs. Garvey, eh?
Yeah. They're new here, too. Legs paralyzed, poor soul. Always sits and knits. The husky man's her husband. Well, hello there, folks.
Hello, Irishman.
Well,
Feels good here.
so you're our newcomer.
Only one of them, yeah. And this sweet soul, Mr. Guthrie, is Mrs. Garvey.
You'll excuse my not shaking hands. I'm all tied up in this ball of wool. When you can't walk, you compensate by keeping the hands over busy.
Well, it's very considerate of you to make me feel at home here, Mrs. Garvey and Mr. Garvey.
Surprised a strong young man like you isn't in the army.
Really, Daddy, you have to excuse him, Mr. Guthrie. Nosy and fresh.
Well, there's no harm done. See, I'm an engineer, and they've deferred me. Theory is I'm doing my share as is, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm a promoter myself.
Here, Daddy. Hold out your hands. That's it. Now, don't wiggle or my wool will slip.
And I'm not in the army because I'm too old. Took advantage of the over 38 law. I'm 59.
He's a card, isn't he?
He sure is. Just what is a promoter, Mr. Garvey?
Careful, Daddy. Those knitting needles almost stuck you then. They're special needles, Mr. Guthrie. Sharp. Why, they could cut ice or pierce wood.
Or kill a man.
Yes.
Yes, I'll be careful, Mother. So you're an engineer, Mr. Guthrie. I knew an engineer. Fine boy.
Oh, I remember him. He was a dear boy.
Anybody I know?
No. Thought I'd try to get him to come up here. Was working on an experiment I was very much interested in. Wouldn't do business with me, though.
Yeah?
Now, bring your hands together, Daddy. That's a good boy. Fine. Daddy has such big, strong hands, yet they're so gentle.
Well, the boy's dead now. Met with an accident, I think.
Really? What did you say his name was?
Howard Lockwood.
Yes, Lockwood. He had a collaborator I've been trying to locate. He and I could really have a long talk.
Say, by the way, Guthrie, have you seen that bird, the unsociable one we came up in the train with?
No, I haven't.
He's probably a big businessman. He seems so nervous. I tell you, it doesn't pay. Be sociable. Business can always wait.
Definitely.
When I see how little you fellas get out of life, I thank heavens I had the sense to retire.
How long have you been retired, Mr. O'Brien?
Be 4 years in June.
You were in business for yourself?
No, I was a professional man.
Oh, I see. Medicine?
No, detective. I was with the FBI. Come in. Well, Guthrie, come in. Feel just like a nice sociable talk. Sit down.
Mr. O'Brien, I'm in trouble and I need expert help, and you were an FBI man. You can help me.
Uh-oh. I was afraid of that. I'm sorry, Guthrie. I'm retired. Too old for the game. You get a hold of the Boston office. They'll get someone up to help you in a jiffy. Call Jack Porter. He's in charge now. Mention my name.
But there's no time now. You see, Boston is 6 hours from here. I need help right now.
Oh, take it easy, boy. Relax. I suppose you're another engineer with some gadget that's going to win the war. That's a familiar one.
Mr. O'Brien, this is serious. There's a murder in this hotel, and if I don't get him, he'll get me.
Now, take it easy.
If you'll just give me a hand.
You know, I felt there was something going on here this weekend. Things weren't sociable like they usually are.
What have you noticed?
Nothing in particular. Just people seemed to act funny. You take that Garvey and his old wife, and that bird with a cough that came up on the train with us. What's he up to, eating his meals in his room?
Look, will you help me, Mr. O'Brien? I do have an invention, as it happens, and...
Oh, excuse me a minute. Hello? Mr. Guthrie? Yes, he's here. The gentleman in 421. Right now. Very well. Goodbye. It's for you. Party in 421 wants you to step in and see him.
That's him, that fake Dr. Vaughn. Well, this is it. And you refuse to help.
Oh, now, look, I'd like to, I guess, but after all...
All right, O'Brien, but look, just this. 421 is right down the hall. And if I'm not back in 10 minutes, will you knock on the door?
Oh, that much I'll do for you.
John.
Val. Valentine, what are you doing here? We agreed that you...
Oh, John. Open your door quickly before we're seen together.
Look, Val, I've got something important to do. Wait in my room for me. If I can only find a key.
The door's open.
It's funny. I locked it.
Look.
The room's been searched. My papers, the pillows, my trunk.
Oh, John, they know you.
Where is it?
You didn't bring the blueprints with you here.
I'm not that dumb. Well, it's gone.
What?
My gun.
Oh, John, I'm afraid.
I feel as if I'd known you for a long time.
My dear.
Well, you know I love you, don't you?
John, we shouldn't talk about that now.
But, you see, I've been in love with what I think you are. I've only known you for 2 days, and...
What are you trying to ask me, John?
Why you came when we agreed that you shouldn't.
Because I was afraid that you...
And why I find you hiding near my door and find the door unlocked when I had locked it only 10 minutes ago, and then I come into my room and I find this.
Oh, John, don't. Please don't. I came because I wanted to help you. I felt that if you were in danger, it wasn't right for me to stay home, safe, not knowing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Val. I trust you. Look, stay here. I'm going down the hall. Somebody's waiting.
Oh, don't go, John. Don't, please. I'm afraid for you.
You got a gun, Val?
Yes, I thought I might need it.
Well, give it to me. Now, kiss me.
Oh, John,
Wait here. If I'm not back in 10 minutes, get the police.
Where are you going?
Room 421. To talk to a man about his cough.
I'm going with you.
This is his room.
I'm going in with you.
You're staying outside. Step back. Don't let him see you. Open up.
His door's open, too. There on the rug, the body.
Dr. Vaughn, he's dead.
Look at the gun. He's holding it. He killed himself.
You mean he's supposed to look as if he killed himself? He was shot in the back of the head. A bit too neat.
What do you mean?
That gun in his hand. It's mine.
Then if he wasn't the murderer, who was he? Oh, John, the gun. They'll think that...
Shh, take it easy. That gun may come in handy. Come in.
Well,
O'Brien, look here.
What?
This gun's mine. It's a plot to frame me.
What? That's not your killer, Guthrie. That's Hilary Lawrence of Scotland Yard, assigned to this case because his government, like ours, is keenly interested in your invention. I should have listened to you before, Guthrie.
You know about it then?
I checked. Called FBI office in Boston. Talked to Porter. Yes, your Dr. Vaughan was Hilary Lawrence of Scotland Yard.
He was the one you heard in Lockwood's lab the night he was killed.
He must have got a little too close in the tail of the real killers.
Mr. Garvey was... Well, I really don't know enough to talk. I better shut my big mouth. But I think I know.
You know the killer?
No, but I have no proof. Without proof, Guthrie, you'll be held for the murder of Lawrence.
That's obvious.
We've got to get our other evidence before someone finds the body.
Yeah. You know, there must be a hideout around here they operate from.
There's a cabin about a mile to the left from the top of the ski jump. I saw it one day when I got lost. I've got a funny hunch it might be the place. If we can get there and find something involving them before the hotel people find this body and arrest you, we'll be...
Well, what are we waiting for? Come on, let's go. Come on back to my room, Val. See you downstairs in 5 minutes, O'Brien.
But if we don't find proof, John, what then?
Then we get murdered or get held for murder. The cabin's dark.
Yeah, one of these keys must fit. Ah, that one does it. Softly now. Mr. Guthrie, I'll take Miss Ames's gun. You're too impulsive. Thanks. Well, there's no one here. Draw the shade, please.
I better keep a lookout on the road. Someone may come.
That's a good idea. Now, this is what I call a real sociable evening.
Look, a note, and it's addressed to me.
Well, we're in the right place then. Read it.
Guthrie, 200,000 in cash for your blueprints, and you can get the cash first, wherever you designate, with no questions asked as to what government gets them. Why those...
Calmly, my boy. You don't have the prints here, do you?
No, they're in a safety vault, and my name is San Francisco.
What's that there, that panel?
It's a radio rig, sending and receiving.
Someone's coming.
Who? Quick, turn up that light.
Sneak a look, John, here, through the window.
It's Garvey, and he's alone.
Alone? Are you sure? Where'd he put that wife of his? Take another look.
He's alone, all right.
I knew she was a phony. She does too much knitting. I wonder where she is. All right, Miss Ames, out you go, quickly. Get to the foot of the road before he does. It's your car, understand?
Yes.
You're lost, looking for a way back to the Phoenix. Delay him from coming in here.
I'll go outside. You search the place, O'Brien, with Val.
No, let the girl go. Her best weapon is her charm. Hurry now. Stall them as long as you can. Good luck. Don't worry. I can see them from here.
Look at it. Shortwave. Yeah. With this outfit, Garvey could hear Lockwood and me talking over our work.
Yeah. Pretty clever operator, I'd say.
Can you see Val?
Yeah. She's getting near him now. Brave girl, that one.
The best.
There she is. He's seen her.
Let me have a look.
See them? Over my finger, between that row of trees.
Yeah, she's talking to Garvey now. She'll stall him. Yeah. Hey, come on, O'Brien. Let's start searching this place.
Wait a minute. Look, they're coming this way. The two of them. Well, I should have known.
Val? Oh, no, it can't be.
Sorry, Guthrie, but you're seeing right. The girl's with Garvey.
But she loves me. I know it. She's honest. I swear it.
They're coming up the path. You stand behind the door. I'll stand up on the balcony and cover them from behind with a gun. You all set, Guthrie?
All set.
You spring out on them as they close the door, and I'll cover you from here.
Val, Garvey, duck. He's got the gun. Above.
Oh, my arm.
O'Brien.
All of you reach. Don't stoop for that gun, Guthrie. Up with your arms. The three of you are going to join the late Mr. Lockwood. The girl and Mr. Garvey of the FBI who poked his nose in a bit too far.
You're out of your mind, O'Brien. What will you get by killing us? I've got the information you want, and if I'm dead, you'll never get it.
I'm fighting for my life now, not your invention. With you three out of the way, I've got a chance. A fire in this lovely cabin will do the job nicely. Now get into that closet, all of you. Get started.
You're missing one, O'Brien. My wife.
I'm not worrying about that.
Drop your gun, Mr. O'Brien. That point you feel in your back is my knitting needle. Drop it. Remember, it can crack ice, pierce wood, or kill a man.
Okay, Mrs. Garvey. Certainly nice to see you again.
Nice job, Guthrie. You tipped us off just in time. Sit down, Mother. You look tired. You must be standing behind the kitchen door for an hour.
Look here.
Just be quiet, Mr. O'Brien. Formerly of the FBI. Kicked out for improper conduct, he was. The service has had its eye on you ever since, my friend.
Yeah, you see, you made a slight error, O'Brien, when you said you'd call the porter of the Boston FBI office. The outgoing lines from the hotel have been out of order since 5 o'clock.
Oh, your arm, Daddy. Here, let me bandage it.
You better get going and have it looked after.
Oh, it's bleeding. I think I'm going to faint.
Faint ahead, Val. I got a pair of arms that aren't doing a thing.
And so closes Cat and Mouse, starring Sonny Tufts, tonight's tale of Suspense. Mr. Tufts appeared through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures and will soon be seen in the Paramount picture, I Love a Soldier.
Few spots on the globe boast the unique and perfect combination of nature's gifts, which makes possible truly good wine. Wine which the whole world can enjoy. But wine experts will tell you that among these fortunate spots, none can surpass the vineyards of our own California. From these renowned California vineyards come Roma wines. Wines so perfect in flavor, so delightful, that they are enjoyed in many countries of the world. To us in America, Roma wines are an everyday treat, for we may buy them at an astonishingly low price, since we pay no import duties or expensive shipping costs. Do you enjoy a delicious tangy sherry? Well, tomorrow treat yourself to a glass of Roma California sherry. We're sure you will agree that you have never tasted finer. With your first sip, you'll understand why Roma wines are America's largest selling wines. I'll repeat the name, R-O-M-A, Roma wine. Tomorrow, ask your dealer for your favorite type of Roma wine, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is Sonny Tufts, and I hope you enjoyed our suspense play this evening. I know I had a good time. I'm looking forward to next week's show, and I know you must be, when that remarkable actress, the Academy Award winner, Madame Katina Paxinu, will be the star of Suspense.
Suspense is produced and directed by William Spear. Next Thursday, same time, you will hear Katina Paxinu in Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lots of stumbling, bumbling in this episode, and I'm not going to speculate, but, Sonny Tufts was the big star when this came out in 1944 because he was injured while playing college football back in the day. He couldn't join the military. He couldn't serve in the war. And so he got a lot of picture roles. So Proudly We Hail with Claudette Colbert, Paulette Goddard, Veronica Lake. He was nicknamed The Find of 1943. He got to play in a lot of motion pictures. Government Girl. We mentioned So Proudly We Hail. And he was in a lot of movies. I Love a Soldier, which you heard them talking about there. And Here Come the Waves. And Bing Crosby, Betty Hutton in the movie. But, he was a big part of that as well. And he did a lot of motion pictures. Unfortunately, Tufts was his own worst enemy. I shouldn't say he was. The bottle was one of his biggest enemies. And it just kind of sent his career down to the dumper. He did come back in television. He was on The Virginian and the Bob Hope special and in Town Taper. I guess his last role was himself in Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. He died of pneumonia. It was just 58 in Santa Monica, California. Sonny Tufts, starring in an episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrill suspense, Cat and Mouse. Coming up next, Sydney Greenstreet, The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe.
Ladies and gentlemen, make tomorrow your D-Day. Get an extra bond for defense. Step into any bank or post office and buy yourself a profitable share in America's future. As an investment, bonds are better than ever. They can help you save safely, conveniently, and profitably. So whether you already buy on the payroll savings plan where you work or the bond-a-month plan where you bank, get an extra bond for defense tomorrow.
Visit our webpage at classicradio.stream and support this program if you would. classicradio.stream. Tomorrow, Jimmy Durante, George and Gracie, The Great Gildersleeve with Harold Perry, Sam Shubble, well, actually Abbott and Costello, and Lum and Abner. Let's wrap up the dramas this time around. Sydney Greenstreet, The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, 73 years ago, March 31st, 1953, The Case of the Telltale Ribbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell brings you mystery, adventure.
Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. What? Who? Who is this? Who wants to speak to Mr. Wolfe?
Nobody.
Nobody?
I said that. Hang up. It's late and it's too cold. And even if it weren't, I would not consider for one moment moving from this room.
Please, Mr. Wolfe, I can't hear a thing this old gentleman's saying.
Does it matter? You heard what I said? No.
Now, what did you say? You were late because she was killed. Well, who was killed? I can't hear you.
What is it about, Archie?
He says he was due here an hour ago, but she was killed.
Who was killed? What does he want?
Do you want us to solve the crime? I say, do you want us to find out who killed her? Oh. He says he knows who did it, but he has an important message for you. Well, then come right over. We'll be waiting, Mr. Jenkins.
Archie, why do you insist on taking every silly little case?
Because, boss, we need to recover for March 15th.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that renowned genius who is the bulkiest, balkiest, most ponderous, and most brilliant detective in the world. Yes, none other than that chairborne mass of unpredictable intellect, Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sydney Greenstreet.
This case I like to refer to as the case of the Telltale Ribbon. Perhaps a better title would be Wolfe Goes A-Hunting. For in a way, this was one of those unusual instances in which my boss, of his own free will and without any coercion, actually decided to leave the house and go to the scene of the crime. It started when the strange old gentleman who phoned us finally arrived. Well, there's our client, Mr. Wolfe.
Evening. It's me.
Who's me?
Oh, I just phoned you. I'm Jenkins. I got a dispatch for Nero Wolfe.
Oh, you're Jenkins. Well, come in. Mr. Wolfe, this is Mr. Jenkins. Says he has a dispatch for you.
Yep. Yeah. Are you Wolfe?
I am. Where is the dispatch from?
Don't know.
You don't know? How come?
Oh, I know, but I'm supposed to say I don't. See? That's my job.
What is?
Just to say I don't know.
What about the murder?
Yeah, who was killed?
Oh, my goodness. It was a terrible thing. We were just crossing the turnpike, and this fella come at us out of nowhere.
The killer?
Yeah. Must have been drunk, I guess.
Well, how did it happen? Did he shoot her, stab her?
Oh, no. He ran into her with his car. And she was only 9 years old.
Your granddaughter?
No, it was Bessie. But the police got him. I have to appear, I guess. Probably get 90 days, he will.
For murder?
Murder. Was somebody murdered? I must have missed something.
Look, we're talking about Bessie, and what do you want us to do about it?
Nothing. Bessie's my old horse.
Oh, no.
But say, who was it that was murdered?
Nobody yet. Good night, Mr. Jenkins. I thought you said it was important.
It might be. At least that's the way I was told.
What might be?
This here letter I was bringing to you. This dispatch. Well, gotta get along now. Goodbye.
Well, get him. What a pixie.
What is in the envelope?
Mr. Wolfe, look. 5 $100 bills. And the note says, Mr. Wolfe, your services are desperately needed. Come up this weekend as my guest. Signed E. Malott.
Edward Malott, the wealthy manufacturer,
Well, looks as though you're going out this weekend.
Well, Archie, pay my respects to Mr. Malott, and I hope you enjoy the weekend. Good night.
Something's certainly phony about this. There's no party going on here tonight.
Yes? What is it?
Is this the Malott place?
It is. What do you want?
My name's Goodwin. I'm a guest of Mr. Malott's.
A guest?
Yes, he invited me down for the weekend.
Weekend? Oh. Well, you better step in, please, Mr. Goodwin.
Quite a bolt you've got on that door.
Yes, isn't it? Just sit down there, please. I'll get Mr. Malott. He's in the library. Oh, here he is. This is Mr. Goodwin, sir. Says he's come down for the weekend.
Mr. Goodwin, good evening. You've come for the weekend, you say?
Well, yes, wasn't that the idea, Mr. Malott?
Well, I don't understand, Mr. Goodwin.
Didn't you send me this note asking me to come here?
Note? I did not. Oh, well, this is my personal note stationery, but I don't recall sending this. I didn't even type it. And I'm in the habit of signing my name with a pen, not with a typewriter. E. Malott.
You're certainly Edward Malott.
Yes. Services are desperately needed. What does this mean? What services? Who are you, Mr. Goodwin?
Are you serious? I'm a private investigator. I'm Nero Wolfe's assistant.
Oh, indeed. Nero Wolfe, eh? I know of him, yes, indeed.
And you really don't know anything about this note?
I do not.
Are you having a weekend party here?
I most certainly am not.
Then who sent this? And there were 5 $100 bills as a retainer.
I haven't the slightest idea. Oh, Dorothy.
Yes?
Will you step in here, please? Miss Davis is my private secretary. She may know something about this.
Yes, Mr. Malott. What is it?
Dorothy.
Oh.
Dorothy, this is Mr. Goodwin.
How do you do, Mr. Goodwin?
Well, how do you do, Miss Davis?
Yes. Well, Mr. Goodwin is assistant to Nero Wolfe.
You don't say. Nero Wolfe, the detective? Well, I've heard a great deal about him. And about you, too, Mr. Goodwin.
Well, now I'm mighty glad to hear you say that, Miss Davis.
Mr. Goodwin has a note here.
Is anything wrong, Edward? I heard voices. Oh, do we have company?
Nothing is wrong, Eva. I was calling Dorothy, that's all. Oh, this is Mr. Goodwin, Eva. My wife, Mr. Goodwin.
How do you do, Mrs. Malott?
Mr. Goodwin, yes. How do you do?
Now, as I was about to say, Dorothy, Mr. Goodwin...
What's going on?
Mr. Goodwin, this is my son, Larry.
Good evening. What's wrong?
Mr. Goodwin has been invited here for the weekend. He has an invitation supposedly written by me. At least it's on my stationery. Look at this, Dorothy. Know anything about this note?
No. I certainly didn't write it.
But it's my personal notepaper, and my signature is typewritten. I'd never do that.
Well, somebody sent it. Who's Jenkins?
Jenkins? Never heard of him.
A little dried-up old man. He delivered it to us. Yeah, maybe it didn't even come from this house.
I'm positive that it didn't. Never heard of Jenkins.
You have a typewriter here, of course.
Yes?
I'd like to see it.
Certainly, Mr. Goodwin, in the library.
How far have you come, Mr. Goodwin?
From New York, Manhattan.
Oh, and it's such a dreadful night, too.
Yes. And it is rather late.
Late? It's only 7:30.
Why not stay here for the night? Plenty of room?
Yes, Mr. Goodwin, plenty of room.
Well, I don't really think that's necessary. On the other hand, it would be a tough drive back to the city in this storm. I'll accept your hospitality, Mr. Malott.
Very good. Oh, Jeffries, show Mr. Goodwin to the East Wing. And take care of his car.
Yes, sir.
Good night, Mr. Goodwin.
You mean you're all going to retire now? I haven't even had my dinner.
We retire very early here. But Jeffries will prepare anything you want. Good night.
Oh, dear, who moved that phone? Hello, Wolf speaking.
Archie, boss. Well, I'm here at Malott's place, but there ain't no party.
What happened? Are you in the right house?
I'm afraid I am. They've all gone to bed. Weird bunch. His wife, who looks very sickly and I think wants to say something to me alone, and Larry the son, and Malott's secretary, Dorothy Davis. She has me bothered a bit.
How unusual, especially if she's pretty.
A beauty, but she seems to know all about me.
You'd better come home, Archie. I can see you're in no condition to handle this case properly. Give them the money back.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. They don't want me here. Malott didn't send the note. No one here knows anything about it, so we can keep the dough.
Interesting indeed. The circumstances would indicate that you should stay there and wait for it to happen.
For what to happen?
For whatever it is the fates have conspired to have happen there while your shining little ego is in the midst of it. Aye?
is it?
It's Archie Goodwin, Mrs. Malott.
Come in. Come in, please.
I saw you give me the eye when I was about to leave. I've been waiting till I felt sure they were all asleep. Now, what's up?
I wrote you that note. I sent for you.
How do I know that?
Old man Jenkins is a scissor and knife sharpener who happens along every month or so. They wouldn't know him. I put 5 $100 bills in the envelope.
Okay, why?
My life is in danger. I've been threatened. I received 3 notes through the mail. They were all postmarked in New York City.
Did I see them?
Here they are.
All typewritten.
The first one reads, "There is no love for you in Grey Gables." The second, "Why stay on in the face of death?"
And the third, "The time is shorter than you think." Do you think this is an inside job, Mrs. Malott?
Well, at first I didn't. But lately I've come to think it is.
What caused you to think that?
For some time I've been having severe spells. I thought it was indigestion. But then it occurred to me that I always broke out in cold perspiration. I was left horribly weak and terribly thirsty.
Thirsty? You fear you're being poisoned?
Yes. And since the thought came to me, I've been living in fear. Fear of every bite of food or drink. It's so shattered my nerves that I have to take these yellow sleeping capsules to even close my eyes.
Well, here's your husband and his secretary and your son, Larry.
Larry is my stepson.
Which one do you suspect?
The secretary, Dorothy, or my husband, or both.
What's the motive?
Oh, they're in love. She's been here over 2 years, and they've spent most of their time together. The idea never occurred to me till last week. And when I watched them, it was quite obvious.
Anybody else know about these 3 notes?
Oh, no.
Then I'll keep them for a while. Good night, Mrs. Malott. And don't worry.
What are you doing, Mr. Goodwin, snooping around in Father's library?
Well, Larry, I was just trying to find out if this Remington was the machine you used to type those notes.
What? What notes?
The notes you sent your stepmother.
Why, I don't know anything about any notes.
Then why were you so startled?
I'm not startled. Why would I threaten her?
Well, so you do know about them. I didn't mention the contents of the notes.
I just happened to see them on the table in her sitting room.
You don't care too much about your stepmother, do you?
Oh, she's all right.
You don't care too much about Dorothy either, do you?
I certainly don't.
Why not?
Well, I don't like her tactics, making a fool out of my father. If anybody here sent those notes, she did.
You think Dorothy would have a motive?
I certainly do.
Of course you wouldn't have a motive, would you?
No.
Well, I'm inclined to think you would.
Well, just what motive would I have?
You don't seem to like any woman who's too close to your father. Maybe because you'd resent anyone sharing in the estate if your father died.
If I were you, Mr. Goodwin, I'd leave. Tonight. And the sooner the better. Good night.
Oh, Archie. Archie. Oh, confounded boy. Yes, Archie?
You have the wrong number. This is Sherlock Holmes speaking.
Why don't you go to bed like the others? You don't have to push it. It'll happen.
Eva Malott thinks she's being slowly poisoned. Suspects her husband and his secretary.
She could be right. What are the symptoms she suffers?
Gastric disturbances, weakness, thirst.
Indeed. What about the son? Have any ideas?
He doesn't like his stepmother and is decidedly against his father's secretary, Dorothy. He knew all about the notes Mrs. Malott had received. Saw them on her dressing table. He believes Dorothy's the culprit.
Then I should say that Dorothy should be the next on your list.
You can say that again.
Be careful, Archie. Use your head this time.
Incidentally, Larry advised me to leave the place tonight. Bit of a threat it was, too. What shall I do, Mr. Anthony?
Do nothing. The trouble will come to you. Bye.
Oh. Hello there, Mr. Malott. I thought you'd turned in for the night.
It's quite obvious you thought so, Mr. Goodwin. What are you doing in the library?
Why, just looking for something to read.
You'll find the books all around the walls, not on my desk.
Well, I was looking for a particular kind of book. I'm very much interested in poisons.
Poisons?
Yeah, a hobby of mine. You happen to have any books on toxicology?
I do not.
And what's that book on the 4th shelf right beside you?
Why, toxico... Where did that come from? Never saw it before. Perhaps it was in that assorted collection I bought a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't noticed it. Larry probably put them on the shelf.
Mr. Malott, how long have you known Dorothy, your secretary?
A little over 2 years.
Did it ever occur to you that she might be, infatuated, in love with you?
What? Well, of all the... Now, see here. I don't know what you're up to, and I don't know how you got hold of my stationery to write that fake note.
It isn't a fake note, Mulat. I'm only trying to find out what's back of it.
Mr. Goodwin, there is nothing going on here that requires the services of a detective, and Dorothy is not in love with me.
I didn't say she was. I asked you if you thought she might be.
Well, since this conversation seems to concern me, I suppose I am at liberty to come in.
Oh, you're still up too, Miss Davis.
Did you hear what this man said, Dorothy?
Yes, I did, Mr. Mulat. And I'd like to have a few words alone with Mr. Goodwin, if you don't mind. Mr. Goodwin, would you mind coming with me for a few minutes?
No, not at all.
And, well, it's rather late, Mr. Mulat. Don't you think you should retire? It's a heavy day tomorrow.
Well, yes. Yes, I suppose I should.
And please, don't let this upset you. Mr. Goodwin has been misinformed. I'll straighten him out. Come on, Mr. Goodwin. The bar is right across the hall. I'll fix you a nice, soothing drink.
That'll be nice.
Well, now, what would you like, Mr. Goodwin?
In the way of drinks? Oh, well, some 7-Up.
Really? Well, just sit down over there.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Well, where did you get the idea that I was in love with Mr. Mulat?
First, suppose you tell me if you are in love with him.
Yes, I am. But until a few minutes ago, he wasn't even aware of it. I worship him and his work. I never wanted him to know because he's married. It would have caused trouble, and I'd have had to leave here. But now he knows it's true.
Well, now that he knows, what will happen?
I'm going to leave tonight. Now.
I see.
And since I don't own a car, Mr. Goodwin, I'm going to ask you to do me a very great favor. Would you run me into New York? I want to leave without a word. If I wait till morning, I'll have to explain to Mr. Mulat, and, well, that would be most embarrassing, Archie.
Oh, now it's Archie.
You don't really mind, do you?
No, I guess I don't. I should, maybe, but,
Don't you like your drink?
What'd you put in this drink?
What do you mean?
What'd you dope it with?
Archie, why would I do that?
Might be several reasons.
There's nothing in that drink.
No? Then suppose you drink it.
Why? Give it to me. I'll throw it out. If you want another drink, fix it yourself. I'll have my things ready in 5 minutes. Are you going to take me?
Sure. Certainly I'm going to take you. But are you sure you have to go tonight?
I must go tonight. Now.
Wish I knew why. Mr. Wolf's always so right.
What?
Just talking to myself.
Dorothy! Larry! Jeffries! Come upstairs.
What's happened?
Call Dr. Hauser. Something terrible has happened to Eva.
Well, Dr. Hauser?
Ah, poor Mrs. Mulat. No, there's nothing to be done now. It's all over.
Eva.
You'd better lie down, Mr. Mulat. I'll phone and take care of everything. I'll be here if you need me. I have to make out the certificate.
Yes, come along, Mr. Mulat.
Just a minute. You too, Larry. I don't want to make this any more unpleasant for you, but, Doctor, just what are you going to put on the certificate as the cause of death?
Acute gastritis.
Is that what you've been treating her for?
Well, she's had several attacks lately. I'd warned her to be cautious of her diet.
And that was wise advice, too. Did you know about these attacks, Mr. Mulat?
Yes, I did.
And you, Dorothy?
Yes, I knew.
And you knew also, Larry?
No, I knew she hadn't been feeling well.
How long had Mrs. Mulat been suffering from insomnia?
Oh, a year at least. I prescribed Nemitol.
In yellow capsules?
Of course. I wrote a prescription every so often calling for 12 capsules.
You all knew about that, of course. I thought so. And would this be the prescription, this little box of capsules here on... Well...
What's the matter, Mr. Goodwin?
That box was open on this nightstand when we stepped into this room. All right, let's have the box, Mr. Mulat. Thank you. Why'd you pick it up?
Because I didn't want the stigma of suicide on Eva's name, nor mine.
Suicide?
Yes. Eva had this prescription filled yesterday morning. The dose is 1 at bedtime, 12 capsules. She took 1 last night. I glanced at the open box when I came into the room, and there were only 8 capsules left. I knew instantly what had happened. She'd taken an overdose.
Doctor, do you think 3 capsules would be sufficient to cause her death?
I doubt it very much.
So do I. Mrs. Mulat didn't die from an overdose of sleeping capsules. She was poisoned.
Poisoned? Are you crazy? By whom?
By you, or Dorothy, or Larry.
No, I didn't do it. I didn't write those notes.
What notes?
Mrs. Mulat had received 3 notes threatening her life if she didn't leave this house. Each of you had a motive, so I'm sending this body to the coroner for an immediate autopsy.
I won't permit it.
The police will see to it. You have no choice.
Yes, Archie. What now? Do you know who did it?
How do you know anything's happened?
Let us call it extrasensory perception.
Well, Mrs. Malott was right. She's dead. Her doctor knew nothing about the spell she was having as being caused by anything but indigestion.
How about an autopsy?
It's all in the works. Looks like a metallic poison, all the symptoms.
Oh? Did you search the house carefully for such a poison?
I did. And I'll check the drugstores in the morning.
Somebody in that house will purchase some poison. Let me know when the autopsy report is in.
Right.
Let's see now. We have Mr. Malott, Dorothy Davis, and Larry the son.
He's Mr. Malott's son, but not the child of Eva Malott, remember?
Yes. Is it true that Dorothy is in love with Malott?
Yeah. Dorothy admitted it to me, but claimed Malott wasn't aware of it until tonight. And earlier this evening, Dorothy tried her best to get me out of the house, insisted that I drive her into town. She tried to give me a drink, which I think might have contained knockout drops.
You don't say. Archie, I should have Fritz drive me up to the Malott place at once. Archie, are you there?
No, boss. I just fainted. And that, Mr. Wolfe, is most of the story up to now.
Very interesting. Yes, indeed.
But it isn't true. I did not put anything in Mr. Goodwin's drink.
Then did you ask him to take you into town?
Yes.
And I might have been found in a ditch.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Why did you try to get Mr. Goodwin to take you to town?
Because I felt it would be too embarrassing to remain until morning.
Maybe you'd already given Mother the big dose of poison and wanted Goodwin out before it was discovered.
Well, you
Wait a minute.
Now, Mr. Malott, you claim that you knew nothing about Dorothy being in love with you. Should we believe that?
You can believe it or not.
Dorothy had a motive to get rid of Mrs. Malott. It seems that Mr. Malott had one, too.
And so did Larry.
What?
You admitted to me that you didn't like your stepmother.
And that you disliked Dorothy even more.
I didn't say that.
You said Dorothy was making a fool of your father. You resented the possibility of any woman sharing in the estate.
You knew about the sleeping capsules, and you could have put poison in some of them. You could have written those threat notes. And by getting rid of your stepmother and placing the blame on Dorothy, you'd be getting rid of them both.
But I didn't. I did not write those notes.
You were the only one who knew about them.
I was not the only one. I saw Dorothy coming out of Mother's room. It was this afternoon. Mother was out taking a sunbath. Dorothy did it. She's the one.
I think you're the one.
No, Dorothy wrote those notes.
That's a lie.
No, she probably slipped into Mother's room and wrote those notes on Mother's portable.
What? Hey, just a minute. Archie, come here.
I never heard of such
No,
lies.
I didn't do it. You can't send me to jail. I'll kill you first.
Larry, drop that gun.
Don't come near me, any of you.
You're such a fool, Larry.
Give me that gun.
I'll shoot. I'll shoot.
Come on. There. Now, you better quiet down, kid. Or Inspector Kramer will take care of you when he arrives.
Well, Mr. Wolfe, what goes on here? Where's Goodwin?
I sent him upstairs, Inspector Kramer, upstairs to Mrs. Malott's room to check on something. Here he is.
Yeah? What have you been doing, Goodwin?
This, Inspector, is the pièce de résistance. This is what Mr. Wolfe has been waiting for. This little black box contains a typewriter, a portable noiseless Remington.
Mrs. Malott's typewriter.
What? I didn't even know she had a typewriter.
But Larry knew she had one. And this is undoubtedly the very typewriter the threat notes were written on. All three of them.
You were right, boss.
Oh, I knew she had a typewriter, but I didn't write those notes.
Oh, shut up. Archie, how do you know the notes were written on this typewriter?
I've compared the type and the ribbon. They're both the same. These notes were written on this Remington.
It was Dorothy.
Larry, I don't believe a word you've been saying. Dorothy couldn't possibly be guilty of such a thing. If anyone is guilty, you yourself certainly have all the earmarks.
Everybody's against me, even my own father. But I'm innocent, I tell you.
Let me get it. I think I know who it is. Hello? Yeah, just a second. You better take it, boss.
Wolf. Oh, yes, go ahead. Let's have it. Yes. He's here, but he won't mind. Yes? I see. Uh-huh. You just finished? Oh. Good. Right. Bye.
Was it the coroner?
The coroner, reporting that poison was found in the sleeping capsules.
And the body. Did they find poison?
They did.
You're right again, boss.
I'm going up to Mrs. Malott's room for a while. I want you to come along with me. Find anything yet, Archie?
No, mostly bills and invitations to bridge parties and so on.
Ah.
You find something, boss?
Yes and no. This pocketbook detective story.
What about it?
I was just flipping through the pages, and I find this corner turned down. Well.
What is it?
Look and read.
Why stay on in the face of death?
Interesting.
The very words used in one of the notes.
Give me the book. Of course, this doesn't prove a thing either, but it does confirm what I was... Oh.
What now?
This cinches it. Get them all up here, Archie. Tell Kramer to bring them all to the bedroom.
Well, Mr. Wolfe, what now?
As you all know, Mrs. Millot was poisoned by someone who had an opportunity to put it in the sleeping capsule. Someone in this household.
Yeah, but which one? The kid?
I never bought any poison in my life.
Be quiet, will you?
No, Inspector, it wasn't Larry.
And I suppose you think I put the rest of that rat poison in your drink, Mr. Goodwin.
No, Dorothy, it wasn't you. But how did you know it was rat poison?
I didn't. I just guessed. I can think, too.
Well, then if it wasn't Dorothy or Larry, you must mean me.
No, Mr. Lott?
No, wait a minute. It had to be somebody.
Yes. This is going to be painful for you, Mr. Millot.
Well, you mean that Mrs. Millot did commit suicide?
It was more than suicide. It was suicide with an attempt to have both you and Dorothy convicted of murder.
She planted things?
She did?
I can't believe it.
Show him the pocketbook, mystery.
Here's the proof.
Some of the threat notes were lifted bodily from this novel. But look on the back cover. Isn't that Mrs. Millot's handwriting?
Yes, and this is the other note, the one to you, Mr. Wolfe, composed in pencil before she typed it out on her machine.
Then, Wolfe, the note you received was the same typing as the threat notes.
See for yourself, Inspector.
Then why the dickens didn't Archie compare them right away?
Just one of those things, Inspector. There are times when even a good detective is a bit on the, shall we say, dull side. Don't you find that often true, Inspector?
Nice of you to go all the way out there, boss. I was a bit stuck.
Quite all right, Archie.
Yeah, there's something that still bothers me.
So?
How can such a sweet, motherly type as Mrs. Millot cook up such gruesome ideas?
She was a very sick woman, mentally as well as physically. She probably felt she was going to die. And her warped mind seized on the opportunity to make sure that this Dorothy didn't get her man after she was dead.
And speaking of Dorothy, she's a mighty pretty...
Yeah. Some beer, please, Archie. If you were so certain that Dorothy wasn't guilty, what was the idea of spending so much time questioning her?
Huh? Why, I...
Never mind the raised eyebrow department. Answer the question.
Well, there are certain rules a good detective always follows. Some are in the book, others aren't.
You mean there's nothing in the book which says a good detective shouldn't spend a few minutes with an attractive brunette, even though she is a murder suspect? The author of that book can be none other than the incomparable Archie Goodwin. Good night, Archie.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sydney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story by John Edison was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman production, produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Harry Bartell as Archie Goodwin, and Gene Bates, Irene Winston, Ted Von Eltz, Jerry Hausner, Vic Rodman, and Bill Johnstone. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you the case of the shot in the dark. Don Stanley speaking. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. There's music in the air tomorrow evening, music and fun brought to you by Dennis Day, Judy Canova, and Grand Ole Opry. Charming and boyish Dennis gets himself tangled in another bewildering situation, while Judy Canova gets together with her comedy pals for some mountain-style goings-on. And Saturday also means a kilocycle trip to Nashville for Grand Ole Opry. Friday's fun includes Sam Spade and, of course, the magnificent Montague on NBC.
73 years ago, March 30th, 1951, The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe. Coming up next, the penultimate episode of Lum and Abner from 82 years ago, March 30th, 1942.
No one knows when disaster might strike. It could come in the form of hurricane, flood, blizzard, or fire, or by enemy attack. So it's wise to be prepared for any emergency. It's wise to take a Red Cross first aid or home nursing course. At least one member of each family should know how to take care of an injured person. Remember, in time of disaster, doctors, nurses, and other medical personnel will be difficult, if not impossible, to find. So take a Red Cross first aid or home nursing course now.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. This episode is not a particularly good-sounding episode, but I bring it to you because it is an important part in this whole Lum and Abner story, with Lum and Abner and Cedric being accused of counterfeiting. And I want you to hear this, though, because this plays a very important part in bringing this storyline close to a conclusion. From 82 years ago, March 30th, 1942, Lum and Abner.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Well, folks, how did it seem to get back on the job this morning? Did you buckle down to work, get a lot done? Or did you feel kind of down in the mouth? Well, if a dull headache or an upset stomach slowed you down and made your work seem harder than usual, here's hoping you had a package of friendly, dependable Alka-Seltzer tablets handy. You can feel better fast when you take Alka-Seltzer for these common morning-after miseries, thanks to the soothing relief it offers. So be wise and be prepared. Always keep a package of these modern effervescent tablets in your home and at your place of work. For with Alka-Seltzer handy, you're ready to get the kind of fast relief you want for headaches and for upset stomach when you want it. So get a package or two of Alka-Seltzer tablets from your druggist tonight. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, the mystery of the strange disappearance of Lum and Cedric is still unsolved. Neither the police nor the townsfolk have discovered any helpful clues. Even Mousy Gray, who has turned detective, has failed to produce any worthwhile information. And if Lum doesn't return soon, Abner is faced with the prospect of losing his home and the store, because he mortgaged both of them to raise money for Lum's bail. As we look in on the little community today, we find a woeful Abner in the Jot-'em-Down store and library talking to Grandpappy Spears. Listen.
Well, huddy. Morning, Grandpap. Come on in, come in.
What are you doing there, Abner? Painting a sign?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Pretty nice work. What's it for? Picnic or sociable or something?
No, nothing like that.
Hey, let me read that.
Don't get so close there. That paint's still wet.
I ain't got on my spectacles.
You're going to have it on your nose there if you don't back off from that board a little.
Big closing out sale. Well, I do know. Having a sale, huh?
Yeah.
Everything must go. Prices cut half in two. Oh, you can't do it, Abner.
How am I doing it?
Well, what do you mean closing out sale?
Just what it says on there, Grandpap.
You ain't closing out the Jot-'em-Down store, are you?
Why, sure. I don't know what else I can do. Going to lose the store anyway, so I just figured I might as well get all I can out of it first.
Gonna lose it?
Why, sure.
Oh, sassafras.
Well, it's the truth. Me and Lum mortgaged the store to get money for Lum's bail. Well, the fact is, I mortgaged my house, too. And
I heard that.
well, Squire tells me now that if Lum don't come back, why, we'll lose everything we put up.
Well, I don't know.
And I don't think Lum's ever coming back. If he was, he'd be back by now. And even if he did come back, I'd tell him to get right out of town again as fast as he could.
Tell him to get out of town?
Why, sure.
And lose your store and home?
Yes, sir.
Well, what in the world would you want to do a silly thing like that for?
Why, call them police fellers that Mr. Adams and Mr. Fremont's just dying to get their hands on Lum.
Natural.
And from the way they talk, while Lum ain't got a chance in the world of getting out of this now. He'll get sent to the penitentiary for the rest of his life, just sure as the world.
Yeah, well, he has made himself look awful suspicious running off this way, I'll say that much.
Of course he has. Oughtn't to ever did it.
Jiminy, that Lum can get himself into more trouble than there ain't one feller I ever run up again my whole life. I don't know what's the matter with him anyway.
Well, now, it weren't Lum's fault, Grandpap. It was that Dodge and Eve Smith that's who it was. He's the one that was running that counterfeiting outfit. And he got Lum into this on a purpose, too.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
But Lum ought to know better than to get mixed up in an illegal thing like that.
Well, he never knows what he's getting into. He thought them was pamphlets on right living that he's delivering. He never knowed they's counterfeit money.
Yeah, but he ought to found that out before he went traipsing all over the country with them bundles.
Oh.
Well, I knowed all the time that was counterfeit money.
How did you know that?
Why, I believe that's your ring, Abner.
How did you know what was in them packages?
That is your telephone ringing, Abner.
All right, I'll get it. I still don't think that you know, though. Just make it. Hello. Got 'em down store library. Abner Peabody doing the talking. Oh, howdy, Caleb. No, still ain't heard a word from either one of 'em. Yeah, me too, Caleb. Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll let you know the minute I find out anything. I'll call you right up. Not at all. Goodbye.
Caleb, we hunt, huh?
Yeah, doggies, he's just worrying himself half to death over Cedric disappearing. Calls up here every 10 minutes, looks like.
Yeah, well, you can't blame him.
No.
Cedric ought never to run away from home without telling his papa where he's going. Ought never to have broke out of jail, neither.
Well, of course, Cedric never knowed that he's done nothing wrong.
Oh, sassafras, he's old enough to know better than that.
Well, he never, though, Grandpa.
Just the same, if I was old Caleb, I'd take that boy over my knee right now and give him a good thrashing's what I'd do.
Well, how could he do that? He don't even know where Cedric's at.
That's right, ain't it?
Why, sure. And besides, that Cedric's road to where he's a lot bigger than his papa. I don't think Caleb could put him across his knees.
No, well, he could horse with him. He could do that.
Oh, well, boy. Just be quiet, Grandpap. Just get off the subject.
You reckon Lum and Cedric's off summers together?
I don't know. I hope they are, though. That way, why, Cedric will have somebody to tell him what to do, and Lum will have a car to ride in.
Yeah.
I'd hate to think of Lum having to walk all the way to Mexico.
Yeah, that would... Mexico?
Yeah. No more than likely that's where he went. I know every time he gets himself in trouble, he always says that's where he's going. Fact is, I think that's where I'm going, too.
You're going to Mexico?
Yeah. Just as quick as I get the store sold out, I'm going. Going to take the money I get from here and pack up Elizabeth and little Pearl, just head right out for the border.
Pack them up? What do you mean, pack them up?
Well, load them in the car, pack up her belongings, and head out of here.
Oh, she's aiming on packing them with the furniture, the way you're talking.
Oh, of course not. I ain't going to take no furniture.
Oh, piddle paddle, you never will go to Mexico. You know, you're just talking at me.
I will do it. Told you I was going to lose my house anyway, so I got to move somewhere. And I just figure I might as well move down there where Lum's at, and him and me can start up partnerships and some kind of a business again.
Yeah, what kind of business would you go in down Mexico?
Well, I don't know.
You can't even talk Mexican.
I don't know how they talk down there. I ain't never been there. Don't know whether I can or not. I ain't never tried it. Might talk it good. More likely going to grocery business, I reckon, as long as we got some experience along that line. Like just have a Mexican grocery store. sell in avocados and things. Sell what? Come over that again, Abner. Avocados, I believe they call them. What's that? Why, it's Mexican vegetable or something, I reckon. I've heard Lum talk about them. Sell avocados and bananas and carambas and bonus noches and things like that. Oh, Mexican vegetables. Yeah, I reckon there. I've heard of them names someplace. I don't know.
Wonderful world.
Wonderful? Oh, my goodness. Lum!
Well, for goodness sakes, Lum-Eater.
Why, Lum!
Where in the world have you been? We've been looking everywhere for you.
Why, sure we have, Lum.
Well, don't carry on like you seen a ghost. It's just me.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Let me look this.
Yeah, surprised you, didn't I?
I know that you just might not scared me to death.
Was you uneasy about me?
Why, Lum, we've looked every place in the world. The fact is, I'd plumb give up on you ever coming back. Well, I hate to admit it now, but look at this sign I was printing on here.
What are you doing putting on a closing out sale?
Well, I just figured, Lum, that you wasn't coming back, and I was just going to close out the store, meet you down in Mexico.
I aim to come back all the time, but I was scared to tell you where I was going, feared you'd blab it all over town.
Well, I'll swan to goodness, don't you never run off that way again not telling me where you're going, you hear me? Yeah, swan, Lum, you outdo any one feller I ever seen in my life. Well, here, wait a minute. You can't stand out here. Here, come on, get behind that counter and hide till we can sneak you out of town.
Oh, wait, I didn't come back just to hide.
Well, now, they'll get you to the shore of the world, Lum.
Yeah, Lum, they're hot on your trail.
Mr. Adams and Mr. Fremont, they're hunting high and low for you.
Well, call them up and tell them to stop hunting, because here I am. Tell them to come over here and get me.
Lum, now, you don't know what you're saying. Them fellers is fixing to send you to the penitentiary for the rest of your life.
I'll take my chances on that. You call them up and tell them I want to give myself up.
No, sir, now, you ain't going to do that now, Lum. Come on, get behind this counter and hide. Now, come on, go on.
Hey, you better go on, Lum.
Get on over there now.
Abner, quit shoving me.
Well,
I
get
ain't
over
going to
there.
hide no place. I can take care of myself all right. I know what I'm doing.
No, you don't either. Now, you do what I say, Lum.
You back from Mexico already, Lum? Mexico? I ain't been to Mexico. I've been to St. Louis.
Huh?
Oh, must have been somebody else that went to Mexico then, Abner. What do you look like, Abner? Do you have a mustache like Lum?
Grandpap, we ain't got time to talk about that. Now, come on, Lum, get behind that counter. Now, please, before Mr. Adams or Mr. Fremont come along. They come in here all the time.
Well, let 'em come. They're exactly the fellers I come back to see. If you'd just give me a chance to talk for a minute, I'd explain a few things to you.
There ain't no time to explain nothing now. You standing
Yes,
out
there
here.
is, Abner. Leave me alone. First thing I want to tell you about is a big surprise I brung back.
Surprise?
Yes, sir.
Well, Lum, that was awful thoughty of you to bring me something, but I'll look at it later. Now, we've got to concentrate on getting you out of here right now.
No, Abner, I told you I weren't going to do no hiding.
Oh,
I went away for a certain purpose, and now I've come back to give myself up and stand trial.
stand trial.
Of course I'm going to stand trial.
Oh, you better not, better not.
I figure I got a pretty good chance now on account of this prize I brung back. And if you'll just hush up for a minute, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, but now, Lum.
All right, Cedric, bring it in.
Cedric? Dog, is he with you?
Is Cedric back, too? Where in the world's he been?
Yeah.
He was in St. Louis with me.
Oh, with you, huh?
Well, wait a minute. Let me show you my surprise, and then I'll tell you all about everything. You better call up Caleb and let him know right away. He's awful anxious and uneasy about Cedric.
Yeah, and Cedric was with you all the time, was he, Lum?
Of course he was.
Well.
Now, you fellas close your eyes till I tell you to open them. Go ahead, do as I say.
All right, but we're wasting a lot of time, Lum.
This is going to be a surprise. All right, come on, Cedric. Hurry up.
Yes, Mom. I hear you. I'm coming. Can we open my eyes yet, Lum?
Not quite. That's it, Cedric. Whoa, right there. That's good, right there. Yes, Mom. All right. Abner, Grandpap, go ahead, open your eyes.
No, but this is just like Christmas. Well, for goodness sakes, Diogenes Smith.
In person, Dave.
Wonderful world, Diogenes.
Well, that is a surprise, isn't it? But you know, folks, it really is not surprising, now that the weather is so changeable, that colds are so common these days. So be on your guard. But if you do catch cold, then be sure to help yourself to prompt, pleasant relief for much of your distress, the modern, easy Alka-Seltzer way. Now, by that I mean start at once to get more rest than usual. Eat sensibly and dress wisely. Get ample vitamins. And start taking Alka-Seltzer. We honestly believe that you'll be so well pleased with the real relief Alka-Seltzer offers for that dull, achy, miserable feeling of a cold that it'll be a favorite of yours from then on. Use Alka-Seltzer, too, as a gargle to soothe that sore throat that so frequently accompanies a cold. Try it, will you? Have a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets in your home. Then the next time a cold strikes, you're ready for Alka-Seltzer's comforting relief.
And we'll bring the Diogenes Smith story to a conclusion tomorrow. Lum and Abner from March 30th, 1942, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Other comedies tomorrow in addition to Lum and Abner, including Jimmy Durante, George Burns and Gracie Allen, Willard Waterman as the Great Gildersleeve, and Abbott and Costello. Thanks so much for spending your Saturday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, and we will see you once again with funny stuff on Sunday.